Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see everybody. I'll bring the work session to order. And I will start with, see here. Why don't we start with let's pay our bills first. We'll call Mr. Lawrence Richardson. My contract with communications campaigns.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the council. The administration is seeking to enter into a contract with Gavin and Channel Communications for the amount of $400,000 to serve as consultants for the development of public health communication campaigns. The campaigns will be used to prepare communication strategies that identify public health issues, including barriers to change and input from targeted audiences. They will also define communications plans based on social and behavioral change theory, create materials based in evidence, and test those materials with appropriate representatives and audiences, and then implement the work plan using tested materials and monitor progress to evaluate all communication efforts and continually improve effectiveness. This is a initial term contract for 1 year and $400,000 with 4 one-year renewals, not to exceed $2 million.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the members? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Richards. Next, we will move on to the appointments. Mr. Secretary, do you need to do anything with the non-competitive awards?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. They will be read at the legislative session on Monday. So that would, as you say, it would bring us to the 8 appointments thereafter.
Okay, and just to be clear, I know there were some people had said some things to me before, so I guess I'm going to make it as part of the record. Basically, we thought that, I don't know, 16 appointments or whatever was too many to try to swallow at one time. It would take too much time. So we basically cut the list in half and decided to have half now and half before and the other half now. Has absolutely nothing to do with any order, rhyme, or reason other than that.
That's exactly right, Mr. Chairman. And we also spoke to the administration about that, and they concurred. And I think we actually went by the order that the administration asked for. So there, as you say, there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just to break it up so there would be balance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And first I will call up Colonel Dennis Delp. Good man. It's good to see you, Colonel. Good man and a good friend.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I present before you today to seek council approval for extension past the 60-day term as interim police chief for Baltimore County. I have been serving in the role of interim police chief since December 6, 2022. I have 33 years experience in the police profession. Over 28 of those years have been in the Baltimore County Police Department. I hold a master's degree and bachelor's degree in organizational leadership and management from Johns Hopkins University, 2016 and 18. I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. I was a member of the 224th session in 2006. I have 13 years experience in executive management level leadership in the Baltimore County Police Department, serving at the rank of captain through interim police chief. I am the recipient of 5 Chiefs Awards, 3 Critical Incident Awards, and a Police Officer of the Year Award. I've been part of numerous efforts and committees involving legislative changes that have occurred in policing, communicated with agency leadership on important issues of use of force policy changes, led efforts with respect to providing training to legislators on police tactics scenario-based training to assist with understanding. I've overseen the leadership of the recruitment efforts for the agency since 2018, and we have made great strides in increasing the diversity within the agency. Notable recent assignments that have involved leading through significant changes in the agency include leading the employment section, our technology section, which I was a member of the original BWC, our body-worn camera program, and recommendations to move forward with the body-worn cameras, which was one of the first in the area to go forward with it. Also, our wellness section, which has been extremely important in recent times, internal affairs section, and planning section. All of these responsibilities have involved significant changes to the agency and profession. I also led the training section from 2016 to 2018, at which time we began training the agency in ICAT training, which is integrating communication, assessment, and tactics, which includes the critical decision-making model. This model serves as a basis for proper decision-making and proportionality. Vision and goals for the future: fill vacancies by recruitment and hiring, reducing our resignations, continue with increasing minority representation in the agency and ranks, improve morale through training, support, and wellness initiatives, improve understanding between the police and the community, meet new law and MPTC requirements, and assist the new chief appointee with leadership transition when that occurs. I would like to thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Colonel. Any questions or comments from the members? Go ahead.
Thank you. Chief Delp, I just want to thank the leaders that you work with for their actions today with regard to Pulaski Highway and Ebenezer Road. I was notified, I guess, around 6:45 a.m. by Captain Latshaw and was able to communicate to the communities what was going on there. I have found all of the captains that I've served with over the past 12 years to be extremely responsible. And I want to acknowledge his work as well as the work right now for Captains Fruehling in Parkville and White Marsh. One question I have is, do you know the status of the pilot program addressing take-home cars?
So 10 cars have been identified. The status is the major that's in charge and leading the initiative. There's 10 cars that have been identified in the fleet. They are in the process within the next week or two, I've been told, to be renumbered for the proper sequencing. And then they will be Ford Explorers, newer 2020, 2021, I believe, Ford Explorers. And there's 122 officers that have met the initial requirements for the pilot program. So out of those 122 officers have been identified that either want to be involved, either meet the qualifications of living in Baltimore County and in patrol, and they want to be involved in the program. We've identified 122 candidates. Out of those, the precinct commanders will be picking one per precinct, and they will be a 6-month rotation. That person will be selected for that take-home car program. They will do it for a 6-month period, and then it will rotate to another individual to do for a 6-month period. We went to roll out another one. We're having difficulty, obviously, with its supply chain issues with the cars coming in, but the goal is ultimately to go 2 per precinct and then do a pilot program as such. And we're also in the process of developing the policies, the departmental policies to govern the use of while off duty.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Secondly, recruitment absolutely has to be the top priority for the department. And I know the county executive and you and others are working on that. Can you just describe our current recruitment efforts and whether you're satisfied with the outreach that we're undertaking?
So absolutely. So we just launched a new website, a new recruitment website that we're very proud of, that people can go on, and it's interactive. And we've highlighted several members of our agency within the agency to do testimonials on that website that's interactive. They can go and ask questions. They can find out when our hiring events are occurring and actually ultimately apply and learn about our specialized assignments. So we're really proud of that. We have been doing across the board as far as campaigns, whether it be bus signs down in Ocean City, as far as airplanes and on boats. And we've been putting them on buses. We've had signs on sides of buses. We have signboards that we're putting out throughout the county, where we travel throughout the county with different type of hiring events and type of activities throughout the county to try to attract folks. Doing radio ads, anything possible to attract people. Also, obviously, we have a $10,000 signing bonus right now. It's in effect. So it's we're hitting it from all angles and a lot of social media where we're tracking and targeting geographic locations and can tell as far from the metadata where we're getting hits from and where people are interested in clicking on things. So we're attacking it from all angles, from the technology side and the boots on the ground.
Okay, one final thing. Thank you. That was a good response. And I think every one of us cares a lot about that issue. Final question is the status of the new police station in the Essex area.
That we're in talks with building management, and we are moving towards doing that. But it's obviously a work in progress as far as securing the land and all that. But we are moving forward with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Councilman Patoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chief. You certainly have a distinguished career, and the conversations I've had with you have been really impressive, so thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, and you may have said this, but I didn't pick it up. Apparently, the county is going to undergo a national search for police chief,
Yes.
and I wanted to ask if you were going to throw your hat in the ring during that process.
Unfortunately, for personal reasons, I'm not going to at this time.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Any additional questions, comments? Okay, well, Colonel, that's a shame. I think you are a good man, and you would certainly be high on the list of candidates, if not the person to lead the department.
Thank you.
And I've always had a wonderful relationship with you. You've been very cordial, responsive, and very thorough in all your actions with me, and I just really appreciate it very much. You've been a constant professional and just a very good person. So on that note, I look forward to voting for your continued acting as the chief of the department.
Very much.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Next, I will call up Ms. Deandra Walker, Department of Public Works and Transportation. Ms. Walker, how are you doing today? Good, good. And I'm not sure, well, you were here before, although you were not being questioned or confirmed at that time.
Yes, sir.
But let's see if you remember the instructions from the other day. What was the first thing you had to do?
Introduce my family.
There you go. See, and that's why she's so wonderful. Right there, right there. Very thorough. Remember, it didn't even apply to her, but she certainly remembered. So take it away and let's see who your family is.
Good afternoon,
Good
Chairman and council members. I'm a little nervous because I have a lot of family here.
We have time.
I want to start with my niece, Deandra is here. But the other family that's there is my DPWNT family.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask them to stand. I'm a little bit nervous because I told my birth family, don't come out today. And when I got back to my office today, my family, my DPWNT family was there waiting for me. So can you all stand, please? I really do appreciate you all coming out to support me today. It's been a long 2 years.
And you don't
So-
want to highlight anyone else?
Yeah.
I mean, that's our family too.
They belong to me, though.
I understand.
I have both my deputy directors. I have my bureau chiefs. I have Jerry, who's my project manager. I have Tom, who's my bureau chief from Metro. Tashawn's my budget manager. And Marcelle's my circulator and county ride. I got a lot of people over there. So yeah, that's my DPWNT family.
Okay.
All right, so it is an honor and a privilege to be here before council this evening. I wanted to take a few minutes to briefly share with you some of my previous work experience and a little bit of my personal background. As most of you all know, I've been acting in this position for Director for DPWNT for the last 2 years. With my DPWNT family, we have been able to accomplish several things. And I'll take a moment now to just talk about those. We've successfully been able to start the first circulator program here in Baltimore County. We successfully started the bulk trash program. We are in the process of implementing the important recommendations from the Solid Waste Task Force. I'm happy to say that we've implemented at least 50% of those, even though we completed the task force work group about a year ago. We're starting a green infrastructure program. We successfully done an April litter blitz, and we'll be coming back around this year with another April litter blitz. We've revamped the process for traffic calming measures, as well as done a transportation development plan. And we're in the process of also implementing countywide Saturday service. But overall, our goal has been to be responsible to the residents and the stakeholders in a timely and efficient manner here in Baltimore County. Previously, before I started here in Baltimore County, I served as the Deputy Administrator and Chief Administrative Officer of Maryland Transit Administration, where I was in charge of representing the MTA's interests and positions before legislative authorities at all levels of government. I also oversaw a $600 million operating budget and a $750 million capital budget. In addition to legislative and budget responsibilities, I was also responsible for labor relations and contracts with 3 unions, including ATU, for bus and maintenance staff at MTA. During my time at Prince George's County, I was the Associate Director for Transportation, where I was responsible for moving nearly 4 million passengers annually. Within that transportation system, there were 28 bus routes, 15 metro rail stations. I'm very proud to say that I was responsible for increasing on-time performance by 10% in a 12-month period and successfully rewrote regulations for the taxi industry while working on a 5-year plan for transit services throughout Prince George's County. I have dedicated my life to public service with over 2 decades of experience in state and federal government, having worked in the Maryland Governor's Office, several state agencies, and on Capitol Hill. Though I will draw upon all of my knowledge and experience from the positions I have held over the years, the position that I feel relates closely to the vast structure of Public Works and Transportation is my duty as Deputy Secretary at the Maryland Department of General Services. As you all well know, the Department of General Services as well as Public Works and Transportation are similar in many ways. The public-facing nature of both departments and the importance of fulfilling the constituents' many needs in a timely and efficient manner is of utmost importance. I'm a distinguished alumni of Morgan State University, where I earned 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and a Master's in Information Technology. Also, I'm a proud graduate of Leadership Maryland class of 2013. As director, I see myself carrying out 3 very important pillars: building collaboration amongst the internal teams and partners around the state, building criteria behind the decisions and policies that we make and that we have in place, fulfilling the constituents' many needs in a timely and efficient manner within the confines of the regulations and our responsibilities. I believe that having these basic pillars in place and making sure that they roll up to the county executive strategic plan will enable us to move the agency forward with a laser focus on our objectives and responsibilities. I lived in Baltimore County for more than 20 years, where my son attended and received quality education from Baltimore County School System. I'm committed to the success and the growth of the Department of Public Works and Transportation as we fulfill a purpose to provide critical and essential services in a timely and efficient manner to all the residents of Baltimore County. I thank my family for being here today, and I thank you all for listening to me, and I respectfully ask that you make a positive vote of confirmation for Director of Public Works and Transportation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. We certainly appreciate you being here. Any questions or comments from the members? Yes, Councilman Crandall?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Walker, I tend to think about anecdotes in the history of working with people in Baltimore County government, especially entering my 9th year on the council. And there are numerous stories that I can tell about you and your staff and the communication that goes on between our office and your office and the various, I'm going to call them sub-departments within your department. And everyone has been extremely responsive. I'm not going to, there are some outstanding things that I think you and I need to talk about and that our offices need to talk about and your staff and my staff need to talk about. I'm not going to bring those up tonight. I just want to compliment you on establishing a climate where we can discuss things with the assistant supervisor at Shop 9. And that person is empowered to do certain things. Now, of course, they don't have the authority to do everything that a council member would like to see happen, of course. But the lines of communication are open, and I think you've established a climate of that. I have a bearded gentleman out in the audience tonight who does not want to be recognized, I'm pretty sure, knowing him as I do. But he headed up 2 shops in my district, and I could call him anytime, day or night, and say, hey, we got a problem. Is this something in your purview? And if it was, he had the ability to take care of it, and he had the authority to communicate with us. And you've established that. So I think you deserve our vote on Monday evening, and I appreciate all the work that you do. I know that's it's a time-consuming and very difficult department that you run, and one that is essential and often taken for granted, because we don't know if your department isn't working until something goes really wrong. So thank you for your efforts. Look forward to voting for you on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any additional? Councilman Batok?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Walker, and thank you to your family, both your family at home and family here. I just want to thank you, Ms. Walker. 4 years ago, when I first became a council member, myself and my team were flooded with issues that were fairly basic to county government and the things that we do to improve safety and quality of life for residents and constituents for each of our respective districts. Some were just basic pedestrian safety measures. Others were traffic calming initiatives. And in year one, we were always met with, no, we don't do that here in Baltimore County. And other counties were doing it. And Mr. Chair, I wasn't asking for things, a manned mission to Mars, but it seemed to be intractable for these basic public services to get done. And now I can say that it's different. It's very different, because when we have a discussion related to a pedestrian safety issue or traffic calming measure or resurfacing, there's a dialogue, and we pretty much are able to get these initiatives implemented, and we're not only as good as other counties, but I think we're better than many counties. And so I want to thank your team. Thank you that whatever you did to create this vision that helps us relate to our constituents, I thank you for that and look forward to 4 more years of continued work.
Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'll just echo the comments of my colleagues. You've been very accessible. I know when we have had water main problems, which seem to happen on Saturdays a lot, you provided direct communication with me. The only question I would have is that as we approach the road resurfacing program being unveiled, you will be meeting with all of our offices, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Councilman Ortel?
Director Walker. I just wanted to say, as one of the newer council people, I've had a lot of experience with DPWT already. And I feel like my staff and myself have been just overwhelmed at how responsive your department has been and just some of the things we've gotten done. And I just feel like you've been a great partner in, where the rubber hits the road in Baltimore County, literally. Because, when we're able to get things done, that's what people, feel good about government about, when we can go get a couch out of an alley or, take care of a pothole and, quickly. So I'm just very happy that it's been such a great experience already in my first month and a half. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Ortel. Any additional questions, comments? I will just, of course, echo everything. I'll Xerox everything everybody said. And I would like to just thank you for your steadfast professionalism. And I'll just also add basically what Councilman Patoka said. There were times when, many of us up here would scratch our heads why it was so easy for people to say no, regardless of what the request was. It seemed like no was the first reply in many cases. That is not who you are. That's not who you have been. And I think you've been very responsive and looking for ways to get to yes for each and every one of us up here. And we really, really appreciate it. I know I appreciate it. And I certainly look forward to voting for your confirmation. And I think, we have a lot of good, capable people working in county government, but I don't think anybody has served in the acting role as long as you and have demonstrated. And, sometimes it's like, okay, you're in the acting role, you're in your best behavior. But you, over many years, you've demonstrated it. So we look forward to voting for you Monday night. Thank you.
I would be remiss, sir, if I didn't say that I appreciate that the council had the foresight to ask for a charter amendment. And it has given me the opportunity to serve in this position. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank the council for that as well.
Well, you're more than welcome, and we were happy to do it because the reality is transportation is a very important part of what you do. And when the county executive had the foresight to include the title of transportation, which highlighted the need for transportation, which is very, very important, it just made sense. So we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Next, I will call Mr. Kevin Reed.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr.
Sure.
Chair and council members. I have to be honest, I didn't bring an entourage with me tonight, not even one to the extent that Ms. Walker did, but I was going to see how this went and save that till Monday. So I hope that's all right. I'll text Mom as soon as we're finished. But thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight about my background and qualifications for this opportunity to be appointed Director of Budget and Finance. I have been a proud Baltimore County resident my whole life, born, raised, still here. I know Mr. Catch is wondering, it's district free. It's just so, and I'm sure as many of you agree, there is no greater honor than serving the community in which you live. And I'm excited to continue to do so in this new capacity if appointed. I received my bachelor's degree from the University of Delaware and my Master of Public Administration degree from the University of Baltimore. And aside from a brief stint in higher education and with the state, I have been an employee of Baltimore County government since graduation, basically. I am now in my 20th year here. And I actually began my service under you guys, under the legislative branch of county government as a policy analyst with Ms. Smelkinson and Ms. Irwin. And I spent a few years there and then went over for the next 7 years for the first time with the Office of Budget and Finance as a budget analyst. And then in 2012, I did something that was uncommon in the county budget world, and I went to go work out in a department as Chief Financial Officer and later Deputy Director of Finance Administration with Dr. Branch over at the Health and Human Services. And at the end of 2019, former Director Blades, we all remember him, hired me as one of his deputy directors on the budget side of the house. Again, we have two sides, budget and finance, where I have served for 3 years. So this appointment would be unique in that I would be the first Director of Budget and Finance that has worked in the legislative branch of government as well as out in the department. And I think that's important. It gives me the unique perspective on looking at the county holistically from a budget and operational standpoint. And, budget, we love to say no in budget, but, until you've served out in a public facing department, you really understand what that no can mean. So I'm keenly aware of the importance of looking at all angles while keeping the budget in mind. Since I've been deputy of budget, some points of pride in OBF. There's one report that we put out that is absolutely crucial every year, and that's the annual proposed operating and capital budgets. And I know we're all tired of talking about the pandemic, but when I got here in 19, the pandemic blew up, and at that time we had not even worked remote at any point in time. We were always in an office, and we overcame the challenges. We came together. We thought outside of the box and delivered a budget on time and, of course, in balance. And I'd like to thank the council in coming together and working with us to finalize that budget as well. I'm also proud of the diverse team of budget and finance professionals that we've been able to build. These are some of the most talented and skilled public finance professionals in the country. They work a lot, they work all the time, and they're always here for us. And I appreciate them every day, and I've been blessed my whole career here to have worked with so many talented people. The good news is that as we move out of the pandemic, is that Baltimore County is financially we're in a very good financial position. We have appropriately leveraged external funding and have driven up fund balance levels to prepare for what's ahead. We continue to stay vigilant and cautious as we look towards the future. I'd like to thank the county executive and the administration for this appointment, and I would like to thank you for your consideration and hope for a favorable vote next week. And of course, thank you for your partnership as the final fiscal authority.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the members? Well, let me say, first of all, we'll give you a pass on the family. You're here every time we're here. But I would also like to just, really, really thank you for your service to Baltimore County. You have been around many years in the various capacities to which you've just articulated. We certainly appreciate your working here on outside of the legislature side. I found that out probably some time ago, and I think Liz told me, and I took another look like, what? And so that's how I found that out. So we certainly appreciate all your work. You've been, a tremendous asset to the county. You've been great to work with, and I was very, very happy and very satisfied that the county executive had tapped you to take over for Director Blades, who also was a real tremendous asset to the county for many, many years. So it just goes to show that you have a nice deep bench here at Baltimore County, and I think that it serves the citizens well. That you can walk in with, 20 years, 18 years experience?
20 years, yes, sir.
20 years. And I think that means an awful lot, and it adds to our stability. And it's that type of stability is why we have a AAA bond rating, because we are stable and fiscally prudent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. So on that note, we'll move on. Yes.
Just one quick comment, Kevin. So I think it was very wise of you not to walk in with a big entourage, because the optics of a budget director walking around.
We don't have friends, exactly. Yeah.
So good choice.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Next, I will call up Director Howie, Department of Economic and Workforce Development.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. It's a pleasure to see you. It's a pleasure to be here. Can't believe it's been 2 years already since I was here before.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It certainly does, sir. It certainly does. But I joined during the pandemic, where getting the pandemic funding out was of critical importance. We were immediately tasked with doing that very important work to get funds into the hands of businesses and residents to help keep our economy moving forward. So that was an initial test, and it was one that I definitely took on with great pride. I'm also encouraged by the fact that as I look back at my time with the council, testifying before you, I do believe I have a 7-0 vote record. And I think that mainly shows that the subject matter that we deal with in the Department of Economic and Workforce Development is truly bipartisan. And I look forward to that continued success moving forward. We're currently in the process of building out and delivering on a variety of ARPA-related projects. Look forward to more conversations about that as we move forward. But I know that each one of you have been extremely supportive of me and with the members of my staff, and I appreciate that so very much. From addressing the needs of your constituents who might need that loan to get that next piece of equipment, to get to the next level of their operations, to helping close deals on grocery stores in communities that needs them. Your efforts and your engagement have been very much accepted, needed, and valuable as we move forward. My long and extensive background in labor, economic development, law, executive leadership, I continue to rely on those foundations for everything that I do. And this position has been no exception. So I've been fortunate to draw upon a wealth of resources to help, really help to move the department forward. Now, as you may recall from my initial testimony and confirmation, I'm unlike Director Reed. I am not a Baltimore County resident. I'm resident originally from Ohio, but I like to consider myself, I've been a Marylander by choice since 1989. Graduate University of Cincinnati, economics degree. After 5 years of service to our nation as an infantry officer in the United States Marine Corps, I then settled in this region, JD MBA from Georgetown University, and then it's been pretty much all public service since then, bouncing back and forth between working in the legal world and in the management world. My career has been extremely rewarding, and the work here in Baltimore County, I think the phrase has already been uttered, where the rubber meets the road. Just being at the local level, executing on people's needs and desires has been really critical and satisfying for me. So I look forward to a positive vote and just look forward to continuing to work with the council moving forward.
Okay. Director Howie, I have to say you sort of scared us. Most people walk up with a note, piece of paper, maybe even a tablet. You have a book, and you turn to the beginning of the book and you started reading. And I was just thinking to myself, I sure hope he's not going to finish that book. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Chairman.
Can we?
No,
No.
I'll defer to Councilman Katz. That's
Councilman
fine.
Katz?
thank you.
Sure.
Are you depressed today?
No, I
You
am not
went to
depressed.
the University of
Oh.
Cincinnati. Are you a Bengals fan?
Well,
Now, be
In
careful
true-
when
no,
you answer
no,
that
no.
question.
in true disclosure, originally from Dayton, Ohio, did not grow up a fan of Ohio professional sports. Issues with ownership in the Cincinnati area can leave certain stains on reputations and observations. So my eyes as a youth went northwestward, and I landed in Minnesota, of all places, with my professional interests. But since being here, if you were to go to my office, you would see a large print of a Ravens helmet.
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks.
Well, Mr. Chair, as usual, I have a lot more important things to talk about than Councilman Katz. Although, go Flyers.
There we go.
All right. So Mr. Howie, appreciate your work over, I guess, what, 4 years now?
Two,
Only two.
only two.
Man, it seems like longer. But so on a serious note, something I wanted to bring up that is not district specific that we can just deal with offline, but is really, I think, it goes to county policy and your involvement in the future of county zoning policy. And I'll bring up, something that we're looking at in our district. So the 7th district, as you know, is a home to the Port of Baltimore, home to Trade Point Atlantic, and has some older commercial areas, some older commercial corridors, which I think maybe even Councilman Patoka might ask you about later on, as far as those inside and just outside the Beltway commercial corridors. But some of the things that are brought to us as council members are things that the zoning code does not contemplate. So if we think about the economy that we're in, I never thought that my wife would be ordering clothes, be measured and order clothes online and have them manufactured, packed up, distributed, and brought to our front door. I don't know, and I know that our county code has not contemplated things that you would consider warehousing and logistics, but are completely different because it's food preparation, food storage, warehousing, logistics, and getting things out the door. And our code has not kept up with how the economy is moving. And we're in an e-commerce economy, obviously, but our zoning says that you can only do this in this area, and the council reacts to these opportunities by passing different pieces of legislation. Is there anything in your office that's come about that you're looking at that says, okay, the economy is shifting, we really need to work with the council and the Department of Planning to make sure that Baltimore County is as prepared as possible for what this new economy is, so we don't lose these opportunities? There's these jobs that are, I take a decent amount of criticism in my district for my support of Trade Point Atlantic. And you may have heard the same sort of criticism in that, well, it's just warehousing and logistic jobs. But those types of jobs, it's a lot of them are a lot more than just driving a forklift and starting at that entry level sort of position. So I'm just wondering if you're thinking about future economies and the role that your department and the council can play together in making Baltimore County as competitive as possible in this new environment that we find ourselves in.
That's a great question. I think the short answer is yes. If you look at some of the activities that we've undertaken the last couple of years, my department has joined in those conversations that Department of Planning and others have with zoning. As you know, that's not specifically our lane. However, once you talk about the economic interests that are at play here, we have either sometimes biweekly, sometimes monthly meeting where all of the infrastructure and economic related department heads get together and talk through major projects. And then my role then is to talk about the economic interests that are at play here. So that is the opportunity where we get to actually talk about some of those impacts. And we will continue to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Patoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councilman Crandall, for bringing that up. I agree with you 100% on our view of economic development as we emerge from the pandemic and the nature of how retail and other areas of the economy has changed. Mr. Howie, 2 years ago when you came here, we were in the midst of In fact, did we first approve your appointment virtually, or was it in?
It was virtual. It was virtual.
Virtually. So that speaks to kind of the world we were in. And so as you came to Baltimore County, we were immediately addressing a global pandemic, and we were all in emergency preparedness and response mode. Now, as we're emerging from the pandemic, let's pray. And it's time to revisit how we behave as a county and how we respond to the needs of our commercial corridors and how they work post-pandemic. And as Councilman Crandall said, our inner Beltway communities are vital to the rest of Baltimore County, working in a way that stimulates growth and stimulates a healthy economy. And in my district, many of the communities and commercial areas do reside inside the Beltway. I was very, very pleased last week to see 4 representatives from the Department of Economic and Workforce Development at a Woodmore Community Association meeting to engage the community, there was the commercial property owners, the owner of Woodmore Shopping Center was there, and it was a good, healthy, strong conversation about how do we make this area, the Liberty Road corridor, and hopefully the Reisterstown Road corridor, and corridors that are inside the Beltway, healthy, strong, and demonstrate vitality. Some of it is simply, and you see this in many parts of the county, is dressing up for the holidays. And, that's kind of the display part of it. But then the core of it is then how do we make the businesses strong too? So using a lot of words to say, thank you for sending your team to the Liberty Road corridor, and look forward to seeing that replicated across the county on all of our commercial areas, both outside the Beltway and inside the Beltway. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Halley, we just had a conference call with the superintendent of schools. Does your department collaborate with the school system in regard to the kinds of education that would be helpful to our citizens of the county, or is there no communication?
Our communication begins with the acknowledgement that the school system are our contractors for one of our youth programs. So we interact with them on a programmatic basis to help find opportunities for young people. That connection will be growing as the Maryland Blueprint becomes implemented. And then we have a more formal role in helping the young people connect with employers and youth apprenticeships. They are part of our Workforce Development Board, where we do talk about that the nature of the population in Baltimore County and what the in-demand opportunities are and pathways to get there. And so the school system, they do have a representative at the table for that.
Does your department see a need for greater vocational education opportunities in Baltimore County?
That's really what career technical education is, and that's what the blueprint is building out. When you look at the goals, very aggressive over up until 2030 or so, 45% of high school graduates are to have some type of college or career readiness education, some type of certification in that area. So the answer is that you're going to see a lot of that connection to career technical education. It's already there in the county, but by law, it's going to be a lot more. And so we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to say Semper Fi. Thank you for your service.
As you.
Maybe it's a military thing or Marine Corps thing. I wasn't intimidated by your notebook. I had mine in my jacket pocket. I was going to show you. But I want to take the opportunity to thank you as well and share in my colleagues' praise for the work that you've done, especially during the pandemic. Business owners in every district benefited from the dynamic and also timely changes that were made to make sure that they could stay in business and continue to provide services to the people of Baltimore County. And I would just say in my short time on the council and working with you in the legislature, hearing from the folks that serve on the Economic Advisory Committee as well as the Spending Affordability Committee, that I believe that we're poised to weather any potential storms that folks may be predicting coming. And part of that is because of the work that you and your team have done, and look forward to working with you and continuing to make sure that Baltimore County, one, has a dynamic economy that is prepared to weather any potential storms that present themselves to us. And thank you for that work.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Marks?
Thank you. Very briefly, I'd like to thank you for allowing Rick Johnson to serve on the Middle River Roundtable, which we have reactivated. All this discussion of warehousing is certainly important with regard to Middle River. We have 5 million square feet going in at Perryman, Harford County, potentially. And then we have 2 million in Middle River Depot. We have warehouses at Caroline Road and Bowley's Quarters Road. And now we have warehouses proposed at Lafarge. So I think having that global perspective is very important as we all pursue our agendas. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, if I may, Councilman Marks, I think you're absolutely correct. It looks like the commercial opportunities in Baltimore County and throughout the region are moving towards warehousing and logistics. I think, to follow on an earlier point, and I think that Mr. Howie would back me up on this, is that there needs to be a mindset shift in what we think about what is warehousing and logistics. It's not just loading boxes on trucks. There's a whole supply chain that is a lot different than what we remember when we were younger and all that. So I think you're right. I think we're looking at different opportunities throughout Baltimore County for more warehousing. But the vision of what warehousing actually is something that I think the council needs to take a look at and probably open up our zoning regulations to allow for different things. And we can get into that discussion at another time and certainly offline. But I think it's a lot more complicated than meets the eye when we start talking about what the new economy actually is and how we prepare Baltimore County for it. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Howie, first of all, we certainly appreciate your service as a Marine. You have a tremendous background. And since you've been here during those COVID years, you and your team have distributed literally hundreds of millions of dollars to businesses across Baltimore County to help keep them afloat. I know we had a lot of conversations, and I just want to thank you and your team for making that process as smooth as possible without unnecessary red tape that, we were able to get the money to the people who needed it right away. So I appreciate that. And since I am looking forward to voting for you Monday, I'm so glad you answered Councilman Katch's question correctly. I thought it's going to be some hard work to get you over the top, but you took care of it. So
I appreciate that, sir.
we certainly appreciate all your work and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you. And now let's see here. Director Laura Raleigh, you're next. And for everyone online and in the audience waiting to testify on the bag bill, we will get there in a couple of more minutes. We have a couple of more people to go. Ms. Raleigh?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
evening.
members of the council. I too am a lifelong resident of Baltimore County, educated by Baltimore County Public Schools, but also the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, with a degree in social work and sociology. And it was at that time that I interned with Baltimore County Department of Aging. And I was absolutely in awe of what I saw there. And so the rest of my college years were spent trying to figure out how I could work at Baltimore County. So 37 years ago, in January, I walked through the doors of the Department of Aging as a part-time entry-level employee in the Senior Center Division. I was fortunate to be mentored by some great leaders, and I soaked up all the knowledge and information that I could. I was promoted through various senior center roles up to a regional manager, and then I shifted my attention back to my social work background to the guardianship program, where I managed a unit that provides decision-making and support for older adults deemed incompetent by the courts. What a humbling and fulfilling role that was, serving our most vulnerable seniors. From there, I became a division chief for individual and family services, and that led to my role as the deputy director for the 8 years preceding my role as the director. I have a broad working knowledge of the functions of the department and a compassion for the many and varied people that we serve. The healthy, the frail, the wealthy, the poor, the active and the isolated, and everyone in between. This has served me well as the director, and in the past 4 years, we've added vital gap-filling programs like the Because program for home modifications and safety and the Digital Inclusion program, while we were also addressing the pandemic, which disproportionately affected our older adults. The staff at the department were phenomenal at shifting their gears, creating food giveaways, virtual programming, porch visits, and more. And we even did a drive-through volunteer recognition. During the midst of the pandemic, we also became an age-friendly community, and we launched Dementia-Friendly Baltimore County, which is focused on ensuring those with dementia living in the community are safe and able to contribute to their neighborhoods. We're training dementia friends, hosting seminars and events for those with dementia and their care partners, and developing a training for our first responders. In the past 4 years, our department also added positions to our most vital areas like Maryland Access Point and community outreach, and we've hired multilingual staff to serve our Hispanic, Korean, and Russian constituents. Our community senior centers now have at least 2 full-time staff, which they did not have before, to assure adequate coverage and support, and our regional centers now have 3.5 staff, which is vital to continue to make them important parts of the community. We've also implemented a case management software to assure we're more efficient and accountable for the work that we're doing, and that we're able to communicate across our agency as people move through our systems. I also addressed inequities in the agency and converted all of our 34-hour positions to merit to create parity with similar roles in the agency and across the enterprise. Some of these employees had worked over 30 years with 1 less hour per week and the disparate compensation and benefits that came with it. We've been able to secure much needed capital funds, thank you all for your part in that, for our somewhat neglected buildings and overlooked neighborhoods, with resulting facilities that now meet the needs of all across the county, like our Woodlawn Senior Center, which is tripling in size to meet the needs of its 1,000 members, adequate parking for Fleming, Cockeysville, and Seven Oaks, and of course, land acquisition for a Hafford Senior Center. I promised. In the next 4 years, we'll continue our momentum to serve those most in need by focusing our attention on gap-filling services like housing navigation, digital equity work, most importantly, including getting equipment in people's hands, assuring they can get low-cost or no-cost connectivity, and teaching computer basics to enhance digital literacy. Within the next few months, we're also launching a new senior center software that will move us away from paper and pencil finally, and people will come in using a key tag that'll sign them in for the day and will produce all of our activity reports. Also, a volunteer driver program is being developed to help those who can no longer drive for themselves and are unable to use public transit. Transportation continues to be the #1 obstacle for successful community-based aging in all of our surveys and questionnaires. Our outreach efforts will focus on traditionally underrepresented populations to assure everyone who's eligible for our services is aware. I consider it a privilege to lead the Department of Aging. The staff are the most compassionate and caring group of people anyone could ask for, and I look forward to continuing the great work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Riley. Councilman Katz?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't thank you enough for what you and your department are doing in regard to Hereford. Over the last 4 years, Hereford Senior Center met 1 day a week, then 2, and there's a great need, and I appreciate your advocacy very much. I also want to thank you and your department for your response to the pandemic. I got nothing but compliments about your department and all that you did to help our seniors. There's no doubt in my mind that the best place for seniors is to remain in their own homes. And I appreciate your department's efforts to assist those people who do want to remain in their own homes. It's definitely needs to happen, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Katz. Any additional questions or comments? Councilman Patoka?
Ms. Riley, I just want to thank you for the outstanding job that you're doing and at all the senior centers. And also, I think the Because program is really a great way for seniors to age in place and have good quality of life. And thank you for that program and all the other programs that you do that help our seniors have good days after good days. Thank you.
Councilman
Mr. Chair,
Crandall?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
briefly, Ms. Riley, thank you so much for your service to Baltimore County. Kayak launch, Edgemere Senior Center.
That would be a coordinated effort with Recreation and Parks.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
And I think we have someone coming up before us in a few minutes.
We do. And I am personally an avid kayaker, so I look forward to having that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, Director Rowley, I certainly appreciate the job you're doing. You've done a great job from where I stand, and I look forward to seeing you, what is it, tomorrow at the ribbon
Thursday.
cutting?
Thursday.
Thursday. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Next, we will bring along Office of Information Technology, Michael Freed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I brought a virtual book.
Good.
I am going to.
I would have been disappointed if you didn't. If you bought a notepad, you would have been done.
I brought backup because I believe a lot in redundancy. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, thank you very much for this opportunity. My biological family is not here today, but I will claim some adopted family. First, I'm going to claim all of DPWT because they seem to be a great group. From the Office of Information Technology, also Deputy Director Chris Martin is here. And then, of course, Madam AO. And I'd be remiss if I didn't adopt Kevin Reed as well, because he seems to be alone in this world. But again, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss the Office of Information Technology and the possibility to be the director of what I actually believe to be the best technology organization in Maryland. Baltimore County has a personal place in my heart personally. My wife and I bought our first house in Owings Mills, where we lived for over 10 years. So we had to move because of her work. During that time, we had both of our children. Their pediatrician is still here, as is my doctor, although they're different physicians. I also began my career working at a company in Middle River. So I've spent a significant amount of time throughout Baltimore County. I attended Towson University for a while as well. And beyond that, I have a special love for the chicken at Richardson Farms and the bagels from Goldberg's. I have a bachelor's in information technology, as well as a master's from Johns Hopkins in information security. After working in the private sector for several years, I moved to public service. I spent 7.5 years as the Chief Information Officer for Baltimore City, overseeing health and human services technology. During that time, we made some incredible progress. We had a cloud and agile-based strategy, which I can get into nauseating detail about if anyone would like, as well as modernize the complete infrastructure, everything from homeless services support to new lab systems, new electronic medical records. We also took an active approach to compliance and cybersecurity, something I personally am very passionate about. I was also that lead during the ransomware attack on the city and responsible for our clinics recovering. Excuse me. During my tenure there, we also created a program to partner with startups to find novel technology solutions to civic challenges. And we have a few, Bad Batch and CharmCare, a few ones that we can talk about that are specific examples of where we brought in outside talent to augment government capacity with great success. I was, as I mentioned, during the COVID response, the public health lead, including responsible for the public dashboard and reporting, all of our private data sharing relationships, as well as standing up the data collection systems for all of our emergency response efforts. So we took over some hotels at the time, worked with the shelter community to help vulnerable residents and those sorts of things. In my free time, I'm on the board for Baltimore Crisis Response. I also volunteer with an organization called Techies for Good, which places technologists in nonprofits with need. And I'm also the co-captain of the Code for America Brigade in the area. I also have 2 little kids, so I honestly spend most of my time chasing them around and trying to coach basketball. Pretty soon they're going to get old enough to realize I don't know what I'm doing. I do want to take a few minutes just to talk about why I'm excited to be here and a vision for this organization. Baltimore County is renowned for having a world-class IT organization, and under current county leadership, the focus on performance and data, there really is no better time to look at how we can build on the work that's done here. There's a foundation of incredible strength, and I look forward to putting users first, to becoming more agile, responsive, and to work with regional partners. I want us to be the best technology organization on the planet. We want to give agencies the ability to go beyond stability and to innovate in their services serving residents. We want to partner with local startups and agency experts to see how we can unleash creativity across the districts of the residents of Baltimore County. I'm a firm believer in human-centered design principles, listening to our residents and those we serve first, and using technology to empower residents and empower the wonderful employees that you have across the county. I believe in equity and inclusion and bringing those to the forefront of how we manage technology. And I would love us to focus on resilience and become a national leader in equitable technology as well as cybersecurity. I'd like to thank the county executive and Madam AO for giving me this appointment. And I would like to thank the council and the chairman for giving the opportunity to discuss a little bit. And I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you very, very much. Any questions or comments from the members?
Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, can you help my wife? She can't seem to buy anything anymore on eBay. So, and seriously, what is the Group for America that you volunteer? I just didn't get it.
Yeah, sure. Code for America. So it's a national organization, and they have local brigades that work on basically volunteer basis for technology projects around civic technology.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. And
Yes,
you
sir.
will help with the eBay.
I will absolutely help your wife spend as much money as possible. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's not a problem.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Councilman
once
Ham.
again, so much more important than anything that Councilman Katz has to say. Mr. Freed, I've sort of studied a little bit cyber warfare, which is a huge issue worldwide. It is it's the new battleground for our country, and I'm pretty sure that you would agree with that. And our national infrastructure and our military apparatus and our federal government are being attacked millions of times a day by people trying to get into our systems. And we have a school system here in Baltimore County that would not fall under your department should you be confirmed. But It's cost Baltimore County significant amount of dollars and resources. And do you have a cybersecurity strategy that you have in mind, or are you gonna, is your thought process to say, okay, my predecessor set something up that now we can build upon? So I'm imagining that as a large jurisdiction in the United States, that we're facing these cyber attacks on a daily basis. So are we handling it? What's the strategy?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. I would say a few points. One is the reality, as you said, of cybersecurity is that it's something that will never be done. So it is not that we can implement one thing or we can have one piece done and then we can sit back and relax. I am very proud of the cyber posture of the county at the moment. That is not saying that we are resting on it by any means. We have even, to your point about the school system, we actually took the public audit that was published and the recommendations, and we have our team internally reviewing those as well. Because one of the most important things you can do with cybersecurity is learn and evolve. To that end, we are going to take a very active approach to cybersecurity and what I call cyber resilience. So first is you have to have a very certainly strong perimeter. You want to have defensive depths. You want to have overlapping controls, a lot of the preparedness stuff that we can go into. You also, a key part of preparedness, having seen this both play out in Baltimore City during a ransomware attack, as well as with the pandemic, the other side of it is how do you respond to an incident? There will be incidents, whether they are major, catastrophic, or whether they're minor ones that take parts of the operation offline. We have to be resilient, so we have to have plans with our agency partners of how we can respond, how we can keep functional, and how we can recover. And so we're going to take a very active approach to cybersecurity. Would I have this opportunity, sir?
Okay, thank you for your answer, Mr. Freed. Appreciate that.
Any additional questions, comments? Well, you know, Councilman Crandall, when you start talking about attacks on the, I guess, the country, cyber attacks, I was just thinking, you know, as well as code for Baltimore, you say you're brigade commander?
Oh, but they
Brigade
call them
leader.
brigades. Yes, sir. It's
Brigade
brigade leader.
leader.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to, if all goes well, we're going to elevate you to a general running our system. But anyway, listen, I think I was looking at your resume. Looks like you have a very good background. I noticed you graduated Johns Hopkins with an information systems degree. I graduated UMBC. So maybe if you scored a few more points, you could have came to UMBC. But that's okay. I'm not going to hold that against you.
I always strive to be better, sir.
Right. But anyway, look, we look forward to, you have a very extensive background. Clearly, you are qualified for the position. You've obviously have the support of the county executive and Madam AO and the others. And I certainly look forward to working with you. So thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Next, we will move on to Mr. Robert Smith, Department of Rec and Parks, acting position.
Good evening. I'd like to claim Lawrence Richardson because looks lonely back there. So as part of my family for this evening.
Okay.
Good evening, Council Chair Jones and members of the County Council. I'm very honored to be here as a nominee for the Acting Director of the Department of Recreation and Parks. I'd also like to thank the County Executive and his team for pushing my name forward. Like many others tonight, I'm a lifelong resident of Baltimore County, a graduate for Baltimore County Public Schools and the University of Baltimore. I'm what we professionally call a recreation kid. I grew up in Southeast Baltimore County in a family that volunteered and served their community. I learned a sense of service then. I continued that service as a scout, soldier, volunteer coach, and of course, a recreational leader. At 16, I started chalking diamonds, emptying pavilion trash cans, and working as a summer camp instructor at parks in Southeast Baltimore County. Little did I know then that this would be my career. I've spent the last 34 years, 25 of them professionally, as a full-time member of this agency, working and learning this field of recreation, this field of service. I've worked in our PAL, now RAC centers, all 4 community recreation regions as a community supervisor, acted as a regional coordinator, chief of recreation services, and currently as deputy director for recreation and facility operations, where I oversee all community recreation operations as well as our department's capital team and program. I come here with a deep knowledge and appreciation of our system, the history of our agency, and the team members who make all the work, do all the work day in and day out. I also recognize and understand the deep value our community volunteers have brought and continue to bring to this system. During my tenure here, I've also worked to receive both my Certified Youth Sports Administrator and Certified Parks and Recreation Professional designations, graduate from the Leadership Baltimore County Signature Program, and most recently complete year 1 of the National Recreation and Parks Association's Director School. I will complete year 2 and graduate from that program this August. These experiences have allowed me to see other options and learn from other professionals to explore best practices, identify opportunities of growth, and look at our department with fresh eyes and understanding. I hope I represent what can be a path forward that both highlights our important community-focused and driven system and builds on that foundation as we reimagine what recreation can look like here in Baltimore County. Focused on the future, but not forgetting our history, not losing focus on the most important aspect of this field, one of service. Service to our partner groups and councils, service to our staff and team members, and most importantly, service to the residents, visitors, and communities of Baltimore County. I respectfully request consideration for the position of acting director.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Are there any questions or comments from the members? Councilman Crandall?
I'm a little concerned with Councilman Crandall's smile, sir.
Well, Mr. Smith, do you want me to try to embarrass you or not embarrass you?
Whichever you prefer, Councilman.
Well, the point, one of the things is if you try to embarrass someone, sometimes you just end up embarrassing yourself. So I'm going to leave it alone. But you dress up well for an Edgemere boy.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to be proud to vote for you on Monday evening. I think that you've served the department well. You've served Baltimore County well. We happen to know each other because we're from the same area, and we have a long history together. And you're like a lot of the other department heads that we're going to confirm on Monday and that we confirmed last week, in that you're accessible. You're willing to discuss things, I can't let you go without asking the same thing I asked of Ms. Riley.
We're always open to
Kayak
collaboration.
launch it. Well,
Yes, sir.
it's in a PUD.
Yes, sir. And I'm also pleased to announce we're looking at establishing a Sandy launch at Merritt Point Park as well for kayaks.
Awesome. And of course, we'll have the pleasure working together on the first new waterfront park in Baltimore County in a decade, which is still in the works.
Yes, sir.
So very excited about that. So, Bob, congratulations. And I'm hoping that my colleagues support you as much as I will.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Patel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Smith. I've known you for a while. I think we worked together back 20 years ago. But anyhow, just wanted to say, always thought very highly of you. Looking forward to voting in the affirmative for you, and can't stress enough, and I know you already know this, how important recreation is for our community, for our county. I serve as a volunteer basketball coach and always looking for gym space for my team. And it's good quality time for all of us. So just wish you well and look forward to an affirmative vote.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Bob, I think it's time for me to talk about this administration, our county executive, and the efforts that they've made for openness and transparency in Baltimore County. And the reason I decided now to talk about that is I appreciate so much your outreach to communities, to advocates for our state parks, county parks, and listening to people. You have no idea how much I appreciate it, and I appreciate that of all of the directors who have been confirmed or going to be confirmed on Monday. It's so important to involve people. The longer you're in politics, you realize how smart people are and the ideas that they come up with are, for the most part, great. And I just appreciate so much. And you know what I'm talking about. All
sir.
your outreach.
And that's a credit to our team out in the field, sir, that day in and day out has interaction with the public.
Yeah, thank you.
Any additional questions, comments? Well, let me just say, Mr. Smith, I too have known you for quite some time, and in the spirit of openness and transparency, since that's the flavor, I'd like to first thank the county executive for really increasing the funding for rec and parks. I think our citizens deserve it. I think, it increases the quality of life here in Baltimore County. And I guess when I go on record as saying, I can't think of a person that's more qualified to lead the agency than you. So in the spirit of openness and honesty, I would urge the county executive to appoint you permanently to the position, because I think, after 25 years of service to the county, you certainly deserve it. And everything I've known about you and all of my interactions with you have been fantastic. And I think everybody's very appreciative of the work you've done. So, and continue to do. So,
Thank you, sir.
wait a minute.
Briefly, I just want to thank you also for your accessibility and your leadership.
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Well, wait a minute. I might have to retract that comment. Oh, no, he doesn't want the job. He said, wait a minute. But anyway, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Thank you all.
Sure. Next, we'll call Mr. Walt Pesterfield from the direction. He's going to be the appointee for the Director of Department of Corrections.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Councilman Jones and councilman members. It is an honor to be present here before the council today. Now, even though I have a very different background compared to our other nominees today, and I'm the outsider here from outside of state, I am equally excited to be here and ask for your nomination. A little bit of background and experience. I grew up in a small town of about 5,000 people in a town called Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. My father was a rancher and a farmer. My mother was a principal and a school administrator. They both were educated at Oklahoma State University, and that was very important in our family education. I earned my bachelor's degree at Northeastern State University in criminal justice, where I also played involved in sport of football. And I obtained my master's degree in public administration from National University. I began my career in 1991 as a police officer in Central California. Since then, my experiences have taken me across the entire United States, from California, Oregon, all the way here to Baltimore County, in nearly every level of the criminal justice system. In my 32-year career, I've gained experience working in multiple disciplines in the criminal justice system. From my time as a law enforcement officer to managing adult probation and parole programs in statewide agencies, serving as a superintendent as a state maximum security for males in a facility in Las Vegas, Nevada, as a bureau administrator for the state of Arizona Soul Youth Facility in Phoenix. These experiences have broadened my expertise to give me the ability and expanded the services here in Baltimore County. And why Baltimore County? Now, at this point in my career, I'm seeking a position where there's a strong and stable county government and leadership team, as well as a track record and support for law enforcement and corrections. Baltimore County has both of those elements and a reputation as a state leader in correctional practices. I didn't put this in my speech, but I also want to say this. When I interviewed for this position with Ms. Rogers and the CE, and Ms. Young and Ms. Henry, that convinced me that this is the place for me. The culture, I could tell in their leadership style, was the best that I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot over the United States in counties and state situations. So I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate that. I also wanted to lead an organization where I could work long-term and lead a workforce and to be not just state, but national leaders in corrections. And I firmly believe the elements are here to attain that here in Baltimore County. My vision for the Baltimore County Department of Correction relies on building a foundation of public trust. That is extremely important today. Our responsibility as a detention center is to provide safe, secure housing for pretrial defendants and those defendants who have been convicted by the courts. For many of the individuals we serve, this may be the first time they've had access to the services they need to turn their lives around. We have an important role to play to keep Baltimore County safe and strong by preparing individuals to return to our community with the skills and resources they need to be successful in our community. On the personal aspect of seeking out Baltimore County, my wife of 36 years, whom I want to thank, and I would not be here without her love and support, that's for sure. We want to be part of a community that not just is very diverse and has history, as well as a community that is thriving and offers an abundance of activities and attractions. Baltimore County offers all those and a lot more. For these reasons, I ask for your approval and confirmation. And I want to thank you for the opportunity for me being able to present my work history and my desire to be part of the Baltimore County family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes. I'm so happy you mentioned in your remarks about helping people who are in the facility, whether it be medical services they need or job training, whatever. And so pleased that you mentioned, they just don't walk out the door when their term is over. We need to be there to help them along the road to success. And, I can't tell you how important that is. And I can tell from your remarks, it's important to you as well. So if there's anything that we can do as a council, or I know the executive, please don't hesitate to ask us, talk with us, because, we need to turn people's lives around.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Thank you.
I appreciate that, sir.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Pesterfield, I first of all, we certainly appreciate you coming out and applying for the position. I see you have an extensive background. And initially, I did not see some of your experience in the in supervising or working in correctional facilities, but I see that now. But I do have one question for you. Looking at your resume, it would appear as though most of the jobs you've had lasted 2 or 3 years at the most. I think in the beginning, there may have been an 8-year job. And I'm just curious, why move around so much?
It's a very good question. I will say the path that I took is not the path that everyone takes. Fortunately, I have a wife that was very supportive of me taking opportunities and not just staying in one place. My mission now is to stay in one place that I've gained the experience in a variety of areas. When I saw an opportunity that would improve my overall aspect of the criminal justice system, and I thought it would better that, that's what I did. It wasn't easy. It was a sacrifice when you have to move from state to state. But I wouldn't take it back because I think at this point in my career, it has given me experience probably a lot of people that don't have. And I think that experience that I've gained over the last 17 years in leadership roles will be extremely valuable for Baltimore County employees and citizens.
Okay, very good. And I will just say that I certainly appreciate that. Certainly gives you a lot more experience, more broader experience, and more tools in the toolbox. Some people can say they've had 20 years experience, which may amount to maybe 2 years, 20 times over. In your case, you have a lot of different places you've worked. So I'm looking forward to giving you an opportunity. And hopefully all of those things that you've accumulated over the years, all those experiences will bode well for us here in Baltimore County.
I have
Councilman Hertel?
one comment, Director Presterfield.
Yes, sir.
One thing I would add, and you've probably noticed this already, that our detention center is unique in the sense that often detention centers are isolated from the general population. Ours is not. It sits basically at the bottom of my neighborhood, actually. And we've, over the years, had a great relationship with the corrections director, with the community. Not that there's many problems ever, but occasionally there's some friction among releases or things that happen around the detention center. So I would just say keep your eyes open to those things too. It's important to make sure that you have a relationship with the community, and I can help you with that if and I'm technically your council person for the detention center anyway. So even though it's all of our detention center, right?
Councilman, I welcome that, and we welcome that. We want transparency. We want the community to know what we do and how we do that. I think that's important. And we want to be able to connect with the community, see that we are helping the people that enter our facility. They don't want to willingly come into our facility, obviously, but when they come in, we want to be able to help them, and we want them to re-enter into our society a better person than they came in. And with that, sometimes people come out and there can be issues. We want to know about those and we want to address those. So I agree. And I also want to give props to Ms. Gail Watts, who for the last 3 weeks has been instrumental in giving me a lot of information as she's done the transition with me. And not every agency would allow that to happen. And that's been a blessing. So I think the administration, and I thank you for letting that happen. She's been a phenomenal assistance with that. It's helped speed my process with the agency. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're happy you had an opportunity to spend some time with Director Watts because she's a hard act to follow.
It's very hard act. She is an icon there, and we're going to still stay in contact because she's just a plethora of information and historical, and she's been so welcoming. I couldn't have asked for better from anybody ever. So she's been a real leader, and it's going to be tough to follow, but I'm going to do my 100% best.
All right. Well, we thank you very much. And now for the, I guess, the main event, Councilman Patoka, we're going to move to Bill 1-23, Bring Your Own Bag Act. And I will start, go ahead, Councilman Patoka.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill 123 is the Bring Your Own Bag Act, or the BYOB Act. And I'll just say, let me begin by saying that plastic bags have been a menace to our environment. Sadly, I was driving down a commercial area this morning, and during the winter, when there are no leaves on the trees, our tree canopy becomes plastic bags. And so it's something that I think is long overdue in terms of being addressed. And I think in this first bill of 2023, I hope that we can address it. The Bring Your Own Bag Act is not a tax. And let me repeat that. The Bring Your Own Bag Act is not a tax. It's a choice. It's a choice to bring your own bag to do your shopping. And it's the first step towards all of us joining together to address a problem that has overcome much of our streams, overcome our tree canopy, very, very difficult to recycle. And so this act encourages folks, encourages shoppers to bring bags to the stores. There is a fee associated with it if you choose not to bring your own bag, but we hope that folks, shoppers, will bring their own bag. We've had a pretty robust discussion with many, many, many stakeholders. Look forward to hearing from other stakeholders today, and look forward to addressing this jointly as a council. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Thank you, Councilman Ketch. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill as well. One of the things about plastic bags, we are using in Baltimore County alone 1 million bags a day, to the tune of about 330 million per year. They do end up in our trees. I'm a boater. This year, or last summer, for the first time that I can remember, I'm in the middle of the bay and there's 2 bags floating in the middle of the bay. They're in streams. I spent this weekend in a community cleanup pulling bags out of trees. We know that this is a problem. As Councilman Patoka said, this is not a tax. The fee is meant to be a way to hopefully drive behavior where people use less bags or use their reusable bags. We see a lot of people who go to a convenience store and get a soda and a pack of gum, and they're getting a bag, and then they toss it on the parking lot immediately, it's like, why do you need a bag to begin with? So if there's a fee associated, we're hoping that this cuts down dramatically on the use of bags. We're not doing this to cause problems with businesses. We've tried really hard to work with the stakeholders to make it as easy as possible. And again, this is not something where we put it in, and we're hoping also that if we're using paper in the place of plastic, that we just don't end up with a lot of trash, paper litter as well. The point is really to drive the behavior to bring bags when you can, and like I said, just get it out of the waste stream, get it out of our landfills, and out of our trees and streams. So that's all I have.
Any additional questions or comments? I have quite a few people who have called in, who are online to testify, and I want to thank them for their patience. I know it's been a long meeting, and I, really appreciate you taking the time to testify. what I would ask you to do, because there is so many people, please keep your comments 2-3 minutes, no more. And if someone has said something you already would like to say, feel free to say ditto or copy that and keep moving on and just state whether you're against it or for it and then move on. The only thing I will say is I personally can certainly appreciate a ban. I just personally have issues telling retailers what they have to charge for a bag. I don't think it's my job to tell them what to charge for a carton of milk. I don't think it's my job to charge them for a bag. And we talk about the bags we see in the bay. We talk about the bags that we see on the tree canopies. But the reality is the other 99% of that product is being used as intended, probably more so. Most people use it more than once. I use it, there's a drawer in my kitchen with those plastic bags and that I get, and I use them. Most of the time I don't take a bag. I don't need one. But when I do take one, I fill my drawer up and I use it for all sorts of stuff, whether it be taking food to my mother's house or, you name it, taking it with me when I go camping or putting all sorts of other things. So it is an issue, and I think we will work through it as we get people to testify. So if no other comments?
Yes,
Councilman
Mr.
Green?
Chair, I'm sorry, you sort of, I know you were trying to conclude and get the public comment, and I missed your prompt there. I'm going to respectfully disagree with the sponsors of the bill that say that a fee is not a tax. If you have a provision in the bill that says that those are on public assistance for nutrition, SNAP, WIC, whatever the program might be, and the bill says that those individuals would be exempt from a fee, well, that means that it's a tax. And that's what the bill says. It's a tax. It's a 10-cent tax. If you look at Councilman Patoka's amendment, brings it down to 5 cents. And it's my position that a fee should be the relationship between the retailer and the consumer. So if Baltimore County votes, this body votes to ban plastic bags in Baltimore County, then it's up to the retailer to decide whether they're going to charge for a paper bag or not. And it's up to the consumer to decide whether they're going to enter into that relationship and spend that and either pay the fee or not pay the fee, depending on what the retailer has said to their customer. This bill, in my estimation, is a complete overreach into the private sector that is completely unnecessary if we looked at other options. So I would ask the sponsors, have you looked at technology? And I have a bag, and I think I still have it with me. I have a bag. Return to participating store for recycling. So bags are recyclable. Baltimore County just does not do it within their single stream recycling program. But I'm aware that there is technology, machinery that Baltimore County can purchase, and we can recycle these bags. I didn't know that these bags could be recycled until I was running errands for my mom, and she says, can you drop off these grocery bags at the recycle bin at the grocery store? I didn't know there was a recycle bin at the grocery store. So I dropped off and I dumped them in there because the bags are recyclable. But here we are trying to not only ban the bags, which I hate seeing flying around and being trapped on fences outside our beltway. And I don't like seeing them in our waterways, as Councilman Ertel has said. But we're putting
an artificial fee that penalizes a consumer and puts an undue burden on a business. If you look through the bill, it puts burdens on businesses that would actually add to the cost of all the things that we go out and spend for. So I put forth a bunch of amendments to the bill. I don't know if it's appropriate at this point, Mr. Chair, I'll take your lead on it, whether I want to bring these amendments up or not. But
I rather not.
do we want
because
to
all
hear
have
from the public
amendments.
first? Okay,
Hear from the-
so I'm going to leave these amendments. The amendments will be made public when they're made public. However, I think that this is a huge overstep in government into the private lives of retailers and consumers and the relationships that they have with each other. And I'll just leave with one other thing that the last thing is that there is a definition in the current language in the bill that describes what a reusable bag is. And I've been told by certain people that definition, that bag that is described in that definition is not recyclable. And furthermore, I do not want the government to tell me what I can carry into a store to buy things and use to carry out. If I want to carry this in my pocket, go into a store, buy my stuff, put it in there, and walk out after paying for it, then that's up to me what I carry into the store. That's not up to the government to tell me what bag I can carry. So this, again, total overreach. I understand the spirit of it. And I wish we could get these plastic bags out of our environment. But you have to do it the right way. The legislation has to be done the right way. And I don't think the legislation is even mature enough if we don't even understand from Baltimore County government whether we can purchase machinery to recycle these things because they are recyclable. And we could actually, like we do with the other materials that we recycle, harder plastics, glass, metal, paperboard, that we could be making money on this. Baltimore County could be seeking revenue on these type of bags. So without going through all of my amendments, which again will be made public again, I think the bill is premature and an overreach. But I am certainly sitting here willing to listen to the public that's about to address us. And that's what we're here for.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just quickly, when people are testifying, if you know, let's say if you're representing a Safeway or Wegmans or a nationwide store like that, if you know how much these businesses are paying for paper bags, I'd like to know. There's been some are saying that this is just a backdoor way for some of these large companies to make more money, that they pay less than a nickel for these bags. And I just, if you know how much they cost, please let us know. It'd be helpful in our deliberations. Thank you.
Well, I don't know what they cost and we can certainly look at it, but it is my understanding, it's almost like the 10 cents or the 5 cents has nothing to do with the cost of the material as much as somewhat of a sin tax. We're going to try to dissuade you from using it, therefore we putting a fee on it. I don't think anyone has ever demonstrated what the actual cost of that bag is, unless somebody can tell me now. Go right ahead, Councilman Ertel.
I don't know the actual cost. We met with the plastic recyclers, the plastic bag recyclers. And one of the statistics they said was only about 30% of the bags are actually recycled. So that's part of the problem. And if everyone was, if it was responsible, we wouldn't be sitting here. If people were recycling their bags or disposing of them properly. And that unfortunately is one of the reasons why we're at this point of considering this bill.
Thank you, sir. I was sitting here thinking to myself, what we need, Councilman Crandall, these bags are made of petroleum. What we need is somebody to tell us how to turn these bags into gasoline. As much as gas costs, we won't have any problems at all. But that said, Chris, let's get started with our speakers. And we'll reserve the right, everybody to have, opportunity to say something after the speakers. I'll just ask that we, for the most part, take in the testimony. Good.
Just a reminder, Mr. Chair, we do have some people who will be testifying today virtually and in person, and that's noted on your sheet.
Okay, Zachary Taylor.
Yes, let me call upon Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, you're now a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I hope you can hear me okay. Apologize, I'm not able to be there in person tonight. I represent the American Recycled Plastic Bag Alliance. We are the group that represents the U.S. manufacturers and recyclers of plastic bags, the products under discussion tonight. There are 176 Marylanders, 110 of whom live in Baltimore County, who manufacture these American-made recyclable products in neighboring Howard County, the facility in Elkridge that's been there for nearly 20 years. These products that are targeted tonight have the lowest environmental impact when disposed of properly based on life cycle assessments conducted by multiple governments and other academic entities. The proposal before you to establish a 10-cent fee on paper bags could transfer as much as $33 million from the public to retailers. What we know from studies done regarding the bag fee in Toronto, Canada, is that the most vulnerable members of our community are the most likely. It is regressive. It will hurt the poorest families who are already struggling with the highest levels of inflation the most. And it will prohibit these hardworking Marylanders, many of which are neighbors and constituents of this council, from being able to continue to offer their products to their customers in the community. These increased costs for alternative bags, many of which are still made from plastic, imported from some of the world's worst polluting countries, and cannot be recycled anywhere, will be passed on to families already struggling to keep food on the table. This proposal couldn't come at a worse time, and it makes little sense from a sustainability perspective when you consider the fact that litter studies find that plastic bags account for less than 1% of litter picked up at events, cleanup events across the country. The most recent study from Keep America Beautiful in 2021 found that plastic bags account for 0.6%, 0.6% of items collected during the cleanup event. We encourage this council to consider alternatives that can promote recycling, address concerns in a meaningful way without freezing out a local manufacturer and their products from the marketplace, without raising costs and compliance challenges for businesses, and most of all, without making it more difficult for families to get food on the table. I know we've submitted comments in the past. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, but I hope as you hear the testimony tonight, you'll keep in mind that tonight's decision and next week's decision will dramatically affect hundreds of workers in the community and could result in the transfer of tens of millions of dollars from the pockets of hardworking families to retailers as they are forced to sell paper bags to consumers. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. I know what I guess said 2 minutes ago. Any questions or comments? Nope. Chris, next speaker.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Marie Laporte. Give me one moment. Ms. Laporte, you are now a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Appreciate the thoughtful responses of the council and several members who subsequently agreed to meet with me and members of the Sierra Club. I also want to personally thank Councilman Marks, Patoka, and Ertel for their leadership on this bill. It's wonderful to see bipartisanship in seeking resolutions to problems. Over the last few weeks, you've heard from several people who've talked about their concerns around litter and environmental impact of single-use plastic bags. The bags come from grocery stores, retailers, and restaurants and are found everywhere. Sadly, they are also found in the guts of 90% of our shorebirds, 100% of our sea turtles, and dead whales. Nanoplastics are now everywhere, including in our oysters and in human mother's milk. Our oceans are expected to have more plastic by weight in them than fish by the year 2050. I think you all understand how important it is to address the plastic waste, so I want to discuss paper bags for a minute. While paper bags do break down more quickly, U.S. consumption of paper bags requires 14 million trees annually, just for paper bags. Every day, our demand for the product we use for minutes requires the grinding up of 38,000 trees for a product that we can easily replace with a durable, reusable bag that can last for many years. One I bought for 99 cents has been in use for over 15 years. No one needs to buy a paper bag. 99 cents and 15 years of use. We need as many trees as possible to absorb carbon to fight the climate crisis, which according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association is also increasing the acidification of the ocean. As we lose trees, the excess carbon we generate is being absorbed by the ocean and decreasing the pH. Over the last 200 years, our oceans have become 30% more acidic, and far greater changes are expected this century. The expected pH of the oceans at the end of the century is expected to dissolve the shell of shellfish. So no oysters, no blue crab. So to say it simply, we need the trees to absorb our carbon or our oceans, or we may not be able to support much of the life they currently do. Sierra Club has conducted numerous research studies observing thousands of Maryland shoppers. When people don't have to pay for a paper bag, the vast majority will simply switch to taking a paper bag in place of the plastic, without any idea of the harm they are doing to the environment. A 10-cent charge covers the cost, at least part of the cost of the bag, and is an incentive to get people to bring their own bag. If we bring a bag, we don't have to buy one, and we all do our part to help the planet. If you don't charge for the bag, you're going to be paying more in your groceries. You pay one way or the other. Let's not put more pressure on our climate or the oceans by using more paper. Let's keep the trees and pass a bill that encourages everyone to bring their own bag. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next caller, Chris.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is in person. It's Kathleen Skulny. Ms. Skulny, if you could come up to the witness stand.
Thank you very much, Chairman Jones and gentlemen of the council. My name is Kathleen Skulny. I live in the historic community of Granite in the southwestern part of the 4th District. I am here representing myself and the Greater Patapsco Community Association. The association actually represents about 12,000 acres, almost 19 square miles of the highest or the most RC6 zoning in the county. The RC6 is the rural protection zoning. We have 4 major watersheds from the Patapsco River within our area. We have been active protecting and representing the area since 1986. Since 1995, we have joined the state of Maryland and the Baltimore County organized annual cleanup. So for 29 years, we have gone all around our 12,000 acres and we have collected an astonishing amount of trash. And I can tell you right now, where much of that 70% that is not recycled, where it goes. When we pick up trash, we have multiple volunteer pickup trucks, each of them full of it. And what we find are hunks of trash that are in retail plastic bags thrown along what are our not very often used roads. So people come by and simply toss them out. We are now part of the Small Watershed Conservation Commission. We go out regularly to monitor the streams in our area and again are verifying the impact of the decades of plastic and bags that are everywhere. The chairman of our commission would like me to quickly read you a statement, and I see I'm running out of time. What he says is we do this we do 4 streams every month. What we find are significant levels of microplastics, which now are in everything and everyone. The most astonishing factor that he gave me is there is enough microplastic material within most human beings to form a full-sized credit card. And this is simply part of what we have seen over decades of deterioration, including the plastic bags. We see them every time. One other quick note that I will offer, and I see I'm out of time. I'm also here as a co-owner of a small food-related business in our community, and we never send anybody out the door with food in a plastic bag. We always use paper. Thank you for bringing this forward, and we encourage the council to pass it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Chris, and thank you, Kathleen, for showing up and appreciate all your service to our community. Sure.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is, and I apologize to anyone who I may mispronounce their name, Shilpa Shenvi. Are you there?
Hello,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Shilpa Shenvi. I live in Baltimore County, and I strongly support the Bring Your Own Bag Act. I'm going to deviate a little from what I had planned to say. I wanted to clarify a couple of things. I understand the concern about low-income families. And that is one of the reasons we put the SNAP WIC exemption in. Furthermore, for low-income families that aren't on these programs, the county executive himself has talked about programs to provide free bags for these families so that they can participate and they won't have to pay the 10-cent fee for a disposable bag. Also, the goal of this fee for the paper bag is not for retailers to make money. It helps retailers because right now they're paying for the bags, and even though they're getting it to us free, it's sort of hidden in the costs that we pay. It's one of the reasons Aldi charges for bags. Aldi charges for bags, and so the rest of their products are lower priced than other places. So, we do have evidence showing that when people have to pay for these bags, they are less likely to take the disposable bags. In 2021, in October 2021, Baltimore City banned plastic bags at checkout and required stores to charge 5 cents for paper bags. Before the bags, only 19% of customers either brought their bags or didn't use any. But after the ban, 65%, that number jumped to 65%. That's an increase of 45 percentage points. There was an increase in paper bag use from less than 1% to roughly 33%. But in other studies, in places where they banned plastic bags but did not charge for paper ones, Um, 68%, there was a 68% increase in the, sorry, a 67% increase in the number of people who were taking free paper bags. They just switched from paper. The people who had been taking plastic just simply switched to paper. I think, as Marie Laporte testified, paper is toxic for the environment. It's better than plastic, but it doesn't mean it's good for the environment. So the best approach really is to eliminate plastic bags altogether and minimize the use of paper ones. And the best way to do that is to charge. And, you know, with the 5-cent charge, you saw that, you know, some people took paper bags, but the vast majority brought their own, or they just didn't take one at all. In Aldi, which charges 12 cents for paper bags, only 6% of customers take single-use bags. The rest of them, 94%,
Shendy.
either bring their own or don't bring any at all, or don't take any at all.
Ms. Shendy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Your 3 minutes, if you could wrap up your comments.
Okay, great. Restaurants like grocery stores contribute significantly to the plastic bag problem and absolutely should not be exempted from this bill. I urge the council to pass the Bring Your Own Bag Act. Thank you.
Next speaker. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mr. Chair, is Glenn Gielhar, and Mr. Gielhar is here in person.
Good afternoon, Mr. Council Chair, distinguished members of the council. I want to personally thank you all for your service. Appreciate what you do. I know your heart's in the right place on this bill. It's been 25 years, and so far what I've heard in the testimony here is about money and about cost and about the nuisance of the bags. But I also wanted to bring another serious note, and that is that we are just coming out, I think it was today or yesterday, a public health emergency. The President of the United States just, completed or withdrew the public health emergency for COVID. And nobody here has discussed health. This bill has caused me great emotional pain and hardship, bringing back some real painful memories. Want to share with you a very important person who touched my life. And this is Matilda Filipkowski. Her husband's Walter Filipkowski. This picture was taken at their 50th wedding anniversary. We all called them Bush and Jaji. They were first immigrants, first generation immigrants from Poland. And Bush, she would love to rock my oldest daughter, and so they lived in Baltimore City in a senior citizen apartment complex, and every year there was a church picnic down in Southern Maryland. It was at the Our Lady of Wayside Church. And unfortunately, this made national news. This is from CNN. You can also find similar articles on the Washington Post and New York Times. So what happened in November of 1997 is approximately 1,400 people attended a church dinner, and 700 people at the dinner became sick from salmonella. There were busloads of people. People were sick from California all the way up across the country because people took food in bags like these back to their relatives. And as a result of that investigation, he said, they never came full conclusions, but they said there was cross-contamination where foods, like you see picture on this bag, come in contact with each other. And salmonella And we learned a lot in 25 years. And illnesses, bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli, and even viruses like the norovirus. We lose 800 people a year from norovirus, live for weeks on bags just like these. So I'm begging you, coming out of a health pandemic, a health emergency, the timing on this is horrible. Please withdraw this bill, bring the retailers, the restaurant owners to the table and work on a solution, maybe biodegradable bags. This is not the way. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for coming in, and we certainly offer our condolences and sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Council Chairman Jones.
Thank you for coming in.
Glenn, thanks for
Appreciate it.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming in person.
I appreciate you too.
And I just pulled it up, and I'll be reading more about it later. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mr. Chair, is Andrew Miller. Mr. Miller, you are a panelist and may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks very much. Good evening, Chairman Jones and members of the County Council. My name is Andrew Miller. I'm a longtime resident of Baltimore County and I live in Pikesville. I'm a professor at UMBC where I research and teach about water and watersheds, and I have been a member of the Baltimore County Commission on Environmental Quality since June 2011. I'm also the immediate past chair of the Chesapeake Bay Program's Scientific and Technical Advisory Committee, and I'm here in this evening to ask you to pass the Bring Your Own Bag Act. CEQ issued a report in November 2011 titled Recommendations to the Baltimore County Council on Single-Use Shopping Bags. That's more than 10 years ago. Its recommendations stand up today as common sense measures that will help us to reduce some of the enormous damage caused by the presence of these bags in our local streams, waterways, and landfills. Because of my research, I've been walking along streams in Baltimore County and Baltimore City for many years. I've seen the proliferation of these plastic bags in the environment with my own eyes. They clog storm drains, they get caught in trees, they're just everywhere in huge numbers. More importantly, as you've already heard from Marie Laporte, they harm wildlife and aquatic life, not only in streams and wetlands, but in Chesapeake Bay and in the world oceans. Although they don't break down chemically within the time span of a human lifetime, they do eventually break down physically into smaller and smaller pieces and may become part of the class of contaminants you've already heard about, known as microplastics, which are pervasive in the environment and may also be damaging to human health. A 2019 workshop report on microplastics in the Chesapeake Bay and its watershed stated that microplastic pollution in the bay and watershed is an urgent issue that may affect restoration success. This county and every other county in Maryland spends enormous amounts of taxpayer money to comply with Chesapeake Bay total maximum daily load requirements. There is no TMDL for plastic bags, but this is a problem we can treat at much lower cost by eliminating much of the plastic before it gets into our waste stream. We've already heard that Baltimore County residents are disposing of more than 330 million plastic carryout bags per year. The CEQ report says that single-use bags may have an effective use time of about 20 minutes for most people, yet their impacts continue to harm our environment for centuries. Paper bags actually use more water and more energy in the production process than plastic bags. So even though they may break down more quickly, they are not environmentally friendly. And this is one reason why the 2011 CEQ report determined that we need to reduce the number of single-use bags of all types to the extent possible. Effective strategies broadly similar to those in this bill have been developed in a number of other Maryland counties and cities, as well as the District of Columbia. So we are not alone in this. This is nothing new. It's long past time for Baltimore County to do its part in cutting down on this environmental hazard. And just finally, I would add, the free market relationship between retailers and customers is not solving this problem. It's making the problem worse. The cost of this burden is being borne by our natural environment and the health of our ecosystems. With all due respect to the comment by Councilman Crandall, this bill is not premature. It's at least 10 years overdue. Thank you for allowing me to testify.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Tom Henry. Mr. Henry, you're a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Chairman, council members, I rise today in opposition of Bill 123. And I ditto Todd Crandall's comments. Thank you. But over 400 record homicides in Baltimore in 2022, giving us a distinction of the second highest murder rate in the country. Our children have lost 2 years of development due to lockdowns, mandates, and fear. They're less safe than ever with SROs being eliminated and children in those schools free to commit crimes with zero accountability. However, the top priority for this session of the County Council is a ban on plastic bags. So instead of policing those who discard them, punishing small business in a power grab hurts all of us. It hurts bag manufacturers and their employees. It hurts those who want to distribute food to the poor and the homeless, because I know I do it, protecting them from the weather. Picking up after pets is now a problem too. So if the environment is so important, excluding those on public assistance points to an agenda, not a solution. So even if you amend this bill without a fee, someone is going to pay for it, and in a few years, that fee or additional bans will likely be added again. In 2019, there was an NPR interview with the economist Rebecca Taylor, who studied the California ban. It proved to be more harmful as purchases of trash bags and paper bag usages skyrocketed. She also stated paper bags are more harmful to the environment than plastic ones, increasing greenhouse gas emissions on paper bag production. But it was also noted that an organic cotton bag would have to be used 20,000 times more than a plastic bag to make it better for the environment. Other reusable bags, as Glenn had said earlier, spread bacteria as well. Now, I personally have observed many disposable masks on the streets and in the trees and in the trash cans and in the waterways. They take 450 years to break down. Are they going to ban those also? One reason they say this bill is necessary for the clogging is because of the clogging of the recycling machines called tanglers. Well, there's other tanglers: clothing, ropes, linens, electrical cords, chains. Are we going to include those? Didn't government approve and fund these machines to begin? And why wasn't this not researched beforehand? Now we find out last year that the county admits that it hasn't been recycling glass for over 7 years, as it's too hard to separate, fixing a problem that government created. There's also a Facebook page, Clean Green Baltimore County, and the Materials Recovery Facility. When you go scanning those pages, everything should be banned. Now, one staff member of a sitting councilman claimed that a conservative environmental group complained about the bags. Well, unless the Sierra Club's a conservative group, I don't know who they are. However, the opposition that constituents raised online were met with insults and name calling failed candidates, enjoy your retirement, and questioning everyone who opposes the bill as to what their solution would be. Not really behavior becoming of a sitting representative. Now, a poll taken from NottinghamMaryland.com shows about a 70% opposition to this bill. You have been elected to serve the public. And I submit that a vote for this government overreach gives lip service to the constituents in exchange for promoting interest groups and drive their agenda. I can answer any questions, but I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Henry. Next speaker, Ms. Belcastro. Nicole Yaus.
Yes. Nicole Yaus. Ms. Yaus, you are a panelist and you begin your testimony.
Thank you very much. Thank you, County Council men and women, for allowing us to speak tonight. My name is Nicole Yaus, and I am the chef and owner of Crossroads Bistro, along with my husband, Brian Yaus. We have a restaurant and carry out in Sparrows Point, 2 food trucks that circulate Harford County, Baltimore County, as well as the city, and run a very popular catering business out of that establishment as well. We use plastic bags across the board, and here's why. Well, the biggest reason that we decided to start using them is a story that dates back to prior to COVID. I want to say mid to late 2019, when we started our company in 2016, my husband and I wanted to have the nicest appearance possible on our to-go packaging, so we used paper bags. In 2019, that 3.5-year business decision changed one night while working the restaurant and packaging in order to go. I was working side by side with my team, and we had an irate customer storm into the restaurant and cause a scene. Over what? The fact that her soup spilled, her container had leaked, and her fries created some moisture and grease, and that caused a paper bag to destruct and her food to land all over the back of her very expensive car. She simply picked up the bag to take it into her house, and there was no longer a bottom, and then proceeded to drive back to the restaurant to throw a fit. The only way I could get her to calm down and to not blast me on social media was to have her drive down the road to the car wash, where I cleaned up her car in the pristine manner that I was hoping I could make it happen and make it look. I blew it off, but within that same week, this same instance happened to my father. At that point, I looked to my husband and I said, well, we need to figure something out. He, being the cost-driven, quick solution-taking person that he is, did some research. He found some biodegradable plastic bags that were 4 times less expensive than the paper ones we were currently using, and we were instantly sold. We are asking for restaurant exemption on this bill for several reasons. They are, but not limited to, the fact that my team and I do not wish to clean cars instead of creating flavorful dishes and provide great customer service. We also use these bags for many reasons across the business, one of which is transporting goods and soiled rags to the trucks or catering events from the restaurant or back to the restaurant. We purposely chose to use biodegradable bags in the event that we would ever be seen as someone that is not supporting the environment, and we don't want to be seen that way, but we honestly did not have another choice. We honestly cannot allow customers to bring their own bags due to the fact of cross-contamination that may result in foodborne illness, and we would be blamed. And the last reason, which is probably the least of which, is that the current paper bags that are the same size and comparable to the bags that we currently use are 21.5 cents a piece instead of the nickel that we are using for the biodegradable bags. Thank you again for allowing us to speak on this measure this evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. Next speaker, Mr. Marquez.
Ms. Youst, thank you very much for your testimony.
Our next speaker, Mr. Chair, is Adam Lindquist, and Mr. Lindquist is here in person.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for hanging in there. Sure.
All right, so good evening, Chairman Jones, members of the council. My name is Adam Lindquist, and I am a Baltimore County resident of the 6th District. I live over in Loch Raven Village. I also work down in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore for a company called the Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. I've cleaned up plastic bags in my neighborhood, I've cleaned them up downtown, and I certainly bring my own bags when I go to the store. So I want to thank the council for taking up this extremely important legislation and for taking this issue seriously, even though this testimony might be a little bit silly. I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Mr. Trash Wheel. And Mr. Trash Wheel is a project of the Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. And he may look like a cartoon, but he's actually a very real, sustainably powered trash interceptor sitting at the end of the Jones Falls stream in Baltimore, which begins here in Baltimore County and then flows down to the Inner Harbor. Since we began operating Mr. Trash Wheel in the Baltimore Harbor in 2014, we've picked up 940,000 plastic bags from the Jones Falls and Glens Falls streams. We hope this bill will keep us from reaching 1 million plastic bags. Since Baltimore City implemented a ban on plastic bags in October of 2021, we've seen a 63% reduction in plastic bags in our waterways. It's time for the county to do its part so that we can eliminate that other 37%. This is the right way to get bags out of our environment. These bans work. We've seen an 80% reduction in styrofoam containers in our waterways since they were banned across the state. I urge you to please vote in favor of the Bring Your Own Bag Act. Put the trash wheels on a diet and keep them from reaching 1 million plastic bags. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for coming.
But, Mr. Ash.
You raise a really good point. And we have funded similar efforts in Baltimore County. Don't you think it's a waste of taxpayer money to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on those type of mechanisms?
Absolutely. Waterfront Partnership, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year picking up litter in Baltimore City and out of these streams that flow through the county and the city. We would much rather use that money to build parks, to provide amenities, and I think the county probably feels the same way.
The other important point is that hasn't been brought up yet, I think, is the Eastern Sanitary Landfill, which I represent, will reach capacity between 2027 and 2029. At some point, the county is probably going to have to consider shipping garbage out of state. What a waste of taxpayer money that would be.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Just to be clear, plastic bags are not the only thing you pick up, right?
Plastic bags are not the only thing we pick up, and that's why the styrofoam ban was so important too. We picked up over 1 million styrofoam containers, and it's great to see that those are no longer plaguing our waterways in the same numbers that they were before that legislation was passed.
All right, thank you very much. Next, oh
Mr.
boy,
Chair.
oh boy, go right ahead. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
No.
Thanks a lot, Councilman Marks.
No, Mr. Yass, I just wanted to thank you, and your point is
I got you. Boy.
that I took in from your animated discussion was that we're all one region, and what we do here in Baltimore County impacts the region and vice versa. So we need to work together as a region, as a one large community.
And there are streams that flow from Baltimore County into the city and that flow from the city into the county. So it's nice to think that the city is sending fewer plastic bags into Baltimore County because they've passed this legislation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next call is Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is also in person. It is Michael Coleman.
Regarding trees for paper, they are farmed. With me not owning a car, I rely on plastic bags as I walk everywhere, including work. While using the bus, they are a lot easier to organize and manage than paper bags. Plastic bags increase litter. I feel that's false. At its worst, it might have taken me 1 or 2 minutes to pick up the bags at work, but these days I'm spending over 10 to 15 minutes picking up the trash, and it's mostly paper, along with human hazmat. So I suggest that the problem isn't bags, but actually people, and that's something that needs to be concentrated on. And with the paper bag crap in the city, I'm lucky to get food to work without the bag ripping and me having to try a juggling act. I've lost more than 1 meal to the street. And in the worst case, with the prior bag ban, I was walking to work during a hurricane, and my lunch sandwich escaped shooting out into the gutter. So I had to track it down, make myself a human stopper in the sewer drain to get my food. At that time, I was so hungry, I just knew I had to G.I. Jane it. So that went right down. And the other thing touted is to get those reusable bags. When I load it up with 30 or 40 pounds of groceries, I'm lucky if I can get it a half a mile home. I've had they're only good for me 2 or 3 times. And then there's the convenience of having to always carry a bag with you. And I just feel that with my pay, the property taxes, we all pretty much pay, and that the bags is just another way to inconvenience you and then nickel and dime you to death. And the problem is, it doesn't really solve the problem, which is a people problem, because the same people don't care if they litter. And if the bag ban in the city worked, it would be spotless. Far from that, it's worse than ever before, just like the crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coleman. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Mr. Coleman, for coming out.
Next call in Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Sarah Price. Ms. Price, you're a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the council. My name is Sarah Price, and I'm here on behalf of the Maryland Retailers Association. To jump right in, you asked how much bags cost. The plastic bags on average cost 1 to 2 cents. A paper bag that is standard size that could be used to carry groceries, that is unbranded and has no handles on it, costs minimum 4 to 5 times that of plastic. For the largest groceries in the state that have enormous buying power, they can get bags for 4 to 6 cents. But as the stores get smaller and the chains get smaller, that price goes up 8 cents, 11 cents, 13 cents, again, just for a basic grocery bag. We have had members in the city of Westminster report out to me after Westminster banned plastic bags but did not put a fee on paper. We had one national level department store say that when they would order bags previously, it cost them about $7,000 for plastic. Now to order the same number of paper bags, it is $30,000. A large grocery store that's part of a national level chain that's available in pretty much every state has shared that in Westminster, they have put in place their own 5-cent bag fee. They've had to keep it at 5 cents due to competition with other groceries of the same size, and they are only recouping about half the cost that they're spending on paper bags. As we've looked at bag policies across the state, the Retailers Association has come to a position of supporting the Sierra Club's model bill should a local government choose to pass a policy. The ban and fee structure that is present in the Sierra Club's model is the most effective way to change consumer behavior and get people to bring their own bags. The 10-cent fee in that model bill is the sweet spot for retailers of all sizes. And we would urge local governments to set that fee floor for all businesses because it minimizes competition and it builds the fee in so that as the businesses are being forced to transition to this more expensive material, they're able to recoup the costs from that. We would also urge you to not exempt any customers from any populations. The point here is to try to pass the same policy for every shopper in every store. Everyone knows what to expect no matter where they go, and the same expectations are set for every shopper in every store. If the point is to reduce the number of bags, we want the entire community to be in this together because everyone will be impacted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Price.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is Julia Levin. Ms. Levin, you are a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Julia Levine, and I'm a sophomore at the Park School of Baltimore. I reside in Pikesville, Maryland, and I'm here today to share the importance of taking action against climate change and the Bring Your Own Bag Act. I'm the leader of the Jewish Youth Climate Movement's local chapter here in Baltimore County, based out of Beth El and Chizuk Emunah congregations. We are a group of Jewish teens who are passionate about making climate activism a defining feature of what it means to be Jewish in the 21st century. We are fighting for climate justice through collective action and are working to build a sustainable and equitable world for all. We have over 45 chapters around the country and are supported by Pearlstone Hazon, the largest faith-based climate organization in the country. Fighting the climate crisis requires collective responsibility for the environment and taking collective action to repair the harms that we've already created. The Bring Your Own Bag Act already exists in many places, but in order to actually have a global impact, we must adopt this policy. There are so many environmental benefits that will occur with the passing of this bill, and very little downside. Methane from landfills full of single-use bags is one of the reasons that young people like me are facing a climate crisis. People are already suffering around the world from stronger storms, deadly droughts, and even some cities have gone underwater. Given the environmental problems we all face, how could anyone in Baltimore County be so selfish that they cannot be bothered to bring their own bag to the store? If we cannot simply bring a bag to the store, how are we going to keep the global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius and keep thousands of lives from being ruined as a result of climate change? Every single person testifying to oppose this bill tonight is speaking against my entire generation and our future. We are in the midst of a climate emergency, and it is crucial that every member of the Baltimore County Council vote protect our future. It was quite disappointing to learn that 2 local kosher supermarkets in Baltimore County are opposing this bill, as they are worried that their customers will find it particularly hard to reduce waste along with our neighbors. But here's what I know. So many Jewish people, including my own Jewish climate group, feel responsible to reduce waste because of our religion, not despite it, which teaches us Bal Tashlit to not destroy or waste limited resources. This Monday, the day the council vote will occur on this bill, is also a Jewish holiday, Tu B'Shvat, a Jewish Earth Day, when my community recommits ourselves to nourishing trees and the entire natural world for future generations. Council members, even though I can't vote yet, I'm a Baltimore County resident who is raising my voice, and I hope you will hear me clearly. Please vote yes on the Bring Your Own Bag Act and protect the future of my generation. Thank you.
Well, Julia, we certainly appreciate your testimony, and I feel very confident that the future is in good hands with you around. Obviously, you were caring an awful lot, and your testimony is greatly appreciated. Appreciate your leadership and your activism.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Julia. I find that I always learn something from young voices, and so I appreciate that you were, I don't want to say you were brave enough, because you were clearly brave enough to speak before our board this evening. And I was looking for a quote that I could use this evening, and Julia, you provided it. So thank you again for speaking for many of the young residents of the 2nd District. Thanks.
Chris?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is in person, and it is, and I apologize if I mispronounced, Maggie Ostal.
Thanks for hanging in there, Maggie.
Just tipped over here. Good evening, Chairman Jones and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of Bill 123, the Bring Your Own Bag Act, and thank you for considering this very important issue. My name is Maggie Ostal, Conservation Policy Manager with the National Aquarium, where we aim to inspire conservation of the world's aquatic treasures. We help protect vital habitats for wildlife and people by removing plastic pollution from waterways and wetlands, and we advocate for policies that reduce single-use plastics and the pollution they cause. We are proud to be one of more than 30 community groups and businesses supporting the Bring Your Own Bag Act. The aquarium has more members, employees, and volunteers from Baltimore County than any other jurisdiction in the state. I am a Baltimore County resident, very fortunate to live on the water in District 7. I try to avoid using plastic bags, and I've carried around the same reusable bags for decades, yet regularly pick up plastic bag litter blown into the river and around my home and neighborhood. I've joined some of the community cleanups where the aquarium has partnered with the county's Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, and since 2017, volunteers have picked up more than 3,000 bags at those cleanups. The aquarium is one of many organizations that help mobilize hundreds of local residents, removing thousands of pieces of plastic from our environment. Excuse me. Community cleanup efforts happening here and indeed happening around the world cannot keep up with an increasingly overflowing tap of plastic pollution. Having worked around this issue for years here and in other parts of the country, there are some facts that are still staggering. You may know some of them, but forgive me if I repeat them. Humanity has made more than 8 billion tons of plastic in less than a century. Most of that is now in landfills or accumulating in our environment. Plastic production is increasing, and the U.S. is one of the top generators of new plastic material and plastic waste. Plastic packaging and containers make up about 40% of the plastic waste stream. Over 8 million tons of plastic enter our global ocean every year. That works out to more than a dump truck's worth of plastic per minute. Plastic breaks into smaller and smaller pieces, but never fully breaks down. Plastic particles, as you've heard, have been documented in thousands of species, from whales to camels to people. It doesn't have to be this way. Our society faces many complex challenges, and addressing plastic pollution is one of them. But in this case, the key solutions are straightforward: reduce single-use plastic and encourage readily available alternatives. And that's the point of the aptly named Bring Your Own Bag Act. By prohibiting plastic carryout bags, regardless of thickness, ensuring low-income residents are not disproportionately impacted by the policy, and incentivizing consumers to remember reusable bags, this policy draws from best practices around the country and the world. The Bring Your Own Bag Act will reduce the harmful impacts of plastic bags in our community. Thank you again, Council, for your work on this important issue. We urge you to pass this bill as introduced. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, and certainly appreciate your testimony.
Ms. Dostal, thank you for coming in, and thank you for being a resident of the 7th District.
Property tax player. Bag cleaner upper. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Chris?
One moment, Mr. Chair. I think this person may be on by phone if you,
Joseph Adams.
yes, but I don't see his name on our list, so let me. Mr. Adams, are you there? Mr. Adams? I found a phone number with what he left and I unmuted, but there's no response. So I'll move on for time's sake, and we can always go back to the next speaker, who is Taylor Smith-Hams. Ms. Smith-Hams, you are a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to testify today, and I appreciate the council for introducing this important legislation. My name is Taylor Smith-Hams, and I'm the Advocacy and Outreach Senior Manager at Blue Water Baltimore. Our mission is to restore the quality of Baltimore's waterways to foster a healthy environment, a strong economy, and thriving communities. We urge you to support the Bring Your Own Bag Act as it was introduced. As you all know and have heard at length this evening, plastic bags pollute our neighborhoods and waterways. They clog our storm drains, which contributes to flooding. They harm plants and animals. They contribute to greenhouse gas emissions and environmental justice concerns at every stage of production and disposal, and they cannot be effectively or efficiently recycled. Banning single-use plastic bags is an important upstream solution that helps build toward a zero-waste future. Bill 1-23 is a model plastic bag bill that draws on best practices from around the world. Not only does it ban plastic bags and remove a common loophole that enables the continued use of thicker plastic bags, it also requires stores to charge 10 cents per paper and reusable bag, which helps encourage customers to bring their own bags when they're shopping. Importantly, this bill includes an exemption from that 10-cent replacement bag charge for any purchases made with food assistance programs such as SNAP or WIC. This is a vital equity component to ensure this bill does not have a disparate impact on low-income county residents, a mistake that other Maryland jurisdictions, including Baltimore City, have made when crafting their own plastic bag laws. By passing the Bring Your Own Bag Act in its current form, Baltimore County will not only reduce plastic pollution within its own jurisdiction and the region, but you will also create a model for effective and equitable plastic reduction policy in Maryland. We strongly urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Olds. Ms. Olds, you're a panelist and you begin your testimony. Ms. Olds, are you there? Not, oh, it's like she muted herself. Ms. Olds, are you there? Ah, we can see you, but we can't hear you.
We cannot hear you.
We can see you, but we can't hear you. You might want to check your microphone.
Unmute.
She's unmuted. Oh, she just muted herself.
I was right for once.
Now she's unmuted, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, maybe your microphone isn't working? Hmm.
Well, we will give you a couple of minutes to.
Ms. Olds, if
get
you
your
can,
system.
if you can call the number by phone, stay online, but also use a telephone by calling in and just chat me and let me know that you're on by phone as well. And what I can do is I can send me the phone number too. And we can unmute you through the phone, and then you can also be visual on the screen as well, if you can do that. Okay? Okay. All right, Mr. Chair, I'll call the next speaker while she's trying to call in by phone.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Melvin Thompson, and Mr. Thompson is here in person.
Thank you for your patience. No, keep on. No.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. I'm Melvin Thompson. I represent the Restaurant Association of Maryland and our restaurants with business locations here in the county. And I want to thank those council members who have met with us to hear our concerns about this issue. And we are respectfully requesting that amendments to exempt the food service facilities from this proposal be considered. We are asking for an exemption from both the proposed prohibition on plastic bags and also from the requirements to collect a fee for any paper bags provided to customers. And complying with the language of this legislation would be more challenging for restaurants than for retail stores. In fact, the very title of this bill, Bring Your Own Bag Act, implies that it is intended for retail stores and not restaurants. The restaurant industry uses both plastic and paper bags depending on the type of food and its packaging for takeout or delivery. Paper bags may work fine for a restaurant that mainly sells sandwiches and salads and lightweight food, but plastic bags are often used for larger, heavier orders and for hot food that is prone to leaking or spilling or steam or condensation, which can make paper bags soggy and likely to break. This is especially true for things like steamed crabs and seafood and soups and pasta, ethnic cuisine, and things with sauces that can leak, particularly important depending on how the bag is transported. A plastic bag simply provides a better barrier for restaurants that need it, plain and simple. And the proposed bag fee would be problematic for restaurants for various reasons. As we understand, the goal is to incentivize customers to bring their own reusable bags. This doesn't work for restaurants because reusable bags pose legitimate food safety concerns. Because reusable bags could have been previously used to carry raw meat or seafood and other retail goods, restaurants generally refuse to put ready-to-eat foods in reusable bags, as we also heard in previous testimony tonight, because of cross-contamination. And requiring restaurants to charge customers a fee for carry-out bags is problematic for restaurants where food orders are not bagged until after the customer has paid. And for restaurants with drive-through windows, the speed of service could be slowed by customers who request that the food be handed individually through the window to avoid a bag fee. And accurately imposing bag fees is also a problem for online ordering or third-party delivery platforms where the customer pays for the food through the ordering platform before the restaurant receives that order and bags it up. And doggy bags would also be a concern for customers who decide that they want to take leftover food after they've already paid the bill. And so for restaurants, we're in the hospitality business, and requiring us to nickel and dime our customers with bag fees is contrary to the very nature of the hospitality business. And for those reasons, we are asking that you exempt restaurants and food service facilities. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. We appreciate you being here and appreciate your testimony, and thanks for being so patient. Ms. Castro?
We're going to try Ms. Olds again. She logged off and logged back on, so let's see if we can get her on. Ms. Olds, you're on again. If you want to
Okay.
try. Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Second time's a charm, right? Thanks so much for your patience. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what was going on with my system. My name is Liz Olds. I'm with the American Forest and Paper Association, and we really appreciate the discussion y'all are having tonight. Just briefly, we believe that the county should avoid taxing highly recyclable paper bags in an effort to address plastic waste. And so we need to oppose this bill as written. In Maryland, we have a large presence. Our forest products industry employs more than 6,000 individuals and produces over 1.7 billion in products every year. We believe taxes on paper bags would wrongfully penalize our product, since paper is a commodity which is already highly recycled, recyclable, compostable, and made from a renewable resource. According to EPA, forests and our products that are made from them offset more than 13% of all annual U.S. carbon dioxide emissions every year. And according to the U.S. Forest Service, more than 1 billion trees are planted every year, so which more than offsets the amount that we use that I think someone from the Sierra Club brought up earlier in their testimony. Moreover, our recycling rates in the U.S. have consistently increased in recent decades. In 2021, we recovered nearly 68% of paper for recycling. Our industry has also planned or announced about $5 billion in manufacturing infrastructure investments by the end of next year in order to continue the best use of recycled fiber in our products. Marylanders also have access to residential and curbside recycling, and through our partnership with the state, about 95% of Marylanders have that access, which we're very proud of. These mandates for stores to charge 10 cents for every recyclable paper bag, we believe, is a tax on our product with little benefit to Baltimore County, because the revenue will be collected and retained solely by the retailer. Retail stores, as we've learned, already have the option to charge for carryout bags or any other in-store service without needing the permission or mandates from the county. These types of taxes and fees imposed on products increase costs for consumers who can least afford it and create distortions in the free flow of our recyclable fiber. Taxes and fees burden hardworking citizens by increasing the cost of basic necessities for everyone, not just SNAP recipients, and disproportionately impact fixed and low-income consumers. These consumers can ill afford to pay an additional tax on paper bags while struggling to cover increasing costs of essential products. And they also need affordable packaging options to protect their food from damage and contamination. Our bags are a clean, hygienic, convenient choice to meet those needs while also being recyclable, reusable, and compostable. Our sector's environmental success story is due to strong and free markets for our recyclable materials. We would encourage the county to avoid measures, including paper bag fees, that penalize paper. We're staying ready to assist you and offer our expertise as you continue this dialogue. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Olds. We appreciate it. And who do you work for again?
The American Forest and Paper Association.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next.
Our next speaker, Mr. Chair, is Nathan Berry. And what? You are on as a panelist. You may begin your testimony. Nathan Berry. Nathan Berry.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may
Okay,
begin your
sorry.
testimony.
My name is Natan Berry, and I appreciate you giving us this platform to express our opinions. I work as an occupational therapist in the home health setting. The people I work with are mostly elderly patients who have recently been discharged from the hospital, and I help them rehabilitate so they can return to their prior level of function. I travel throughout Baltimore County, and my territory includes areas represented by councilmen of districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. While I'm sure others will speak for the benefit of plastic bags in the family setting, I wanted to bring another perspective from a health professional standpoint. Many of my elderly patients live alone, and especially if they are in an independent living facility, such as the many Weinberg and Catholic Charities buildings, many use these disposable grocery bags to help manage their trash. From an occupational therapy standpoint, it frankly makes it more manageable for them to be able to take their own trash out to the curb or down the long hallways of their facilities for the trash chute. And on the flip side, when patients require total care and have bowel and bladder accidents requiring cleanup at the bed level, these trash bags help seal up smells in a smaller bag that can then go out, and instead of having them to frequently fill and dispose of the larger garbage bags. Plastic bags will make it harder and more expensive for seniors to take their own trash out. I respectfully ask for you to vote against the plastic bag ban. To effect positive change, may I humbly suggest refunding maybe 5 cents per bag for those who do bring their own bags, thus rewarding the behaviors you want to change and not creating hardships for those who depend on these bags. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berry. Next speaker, Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Beth Miller. Ms. Miller, you are a panelist. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you very much to the Chairman Jones and the County Council persons for this opportunity to speak. I'm speaking in support of Bill 1-23, representing the Greenhouse Alliance, which advocates for a greener, healthier, and more beautiful community. We concur with others who support this legislation that will greatly reduce the harmful impact of plastic bags throughout their life cycle in an equitable way. What I want to highlight today is our experience with plastic bags in the context of our area streams. GTA-sponsored stream cleanups pulled out 4,570 pounds of trash out of neighborhood streams in the spring of 2022. I personally have sponsored an annual cleanup in Ashler Hills, just south of Taylor Avenue, since 2019. Each of those 4 years, we find layer upon layer of plastic bags near the road and on the banks of this portion of the Herring Run. The upper layer of bags can generally be pulled out of the brush without too much effort, but the bags that are buried deep will shred into pieces that are almost impossible to completely remove. It's a daunting task to try and remove years of accumulation, made that much worse by the knowledge that more bags will blow in on the road from the road before we return the next spring. With respect to some comments from the council persons, various sources indicate plastic recycling is more expensive than new plastic and markets are unstable. The Ecology Center, after extensive research, states we can't guarantee that plastic film is getting recycled, even if it is clean, dry, and disposed of in the right place. Focusing on recycling addresses only a small portion of the total amount of environmental harm caused by plastic bags. The production of bags uses fossil fuels, which contribute to climate change. I can't say it better than Julia from Pikesville did. This is about the future of her generation. You've been told by multiple stakeholders this is a model bill as written. I'm very concerned about the transparency of proposed amendments to this or any bill, as I'm not aware of any mechanism the county has for allowing public comments on amendments other than extending the life of a bill. You have an opportunity to stop the bleeding. Please align with other jurisdictions, make a huge impact on our streams, our wildlife, and our climate, and our future by passing Bill 1-23 as written. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miller. Next speaker, Ms. Belcastro.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker was Ariel Golfez, and I cannot find her on our list either by phone or logged on. So I'm going to go on to the next speaker, who is Mordecai Snyder. And I think Mr. Snyder is on by phone. Mr. Snyder, are you there? Mr. Snyder? No response, Mr. Chair. Would you like me to go on to the next speaker?
Please. And if Mr. Snyder comes along, we will certainly give them an opportunity.
Sure. Our next speaker, registered speaker, was Zipporah Friedman. Let me see, she is not on by name. Let me see if she's on by phone. Bear with me one moment. She is not on by phone either. I will move on to the next speaker, who is Deborah Kleinman. Ms. Kleinman, you are a panelist and you may begin your testimony. Ms. Kleinman?
Here I am.
Yes.
Okay, hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair and honorable members of our council, the Baltimore County Council. I just wanted to say, Julian Jones, I love camping too, and I know you talked about that. I am the chair of the Greater Baltimore Group of the Sierra Club, and we love camping and we love the natural environment. I also wanted to say to you and Mr. Crandall that it's really great that you all have your moms and that you can shop for them. And it would be really interesting to talk to them about when they were younger and how they shopped, and there were no plastic bags probably when they were younger. The oil and gas industry has really created this real problem for our planet, which is plastic. And I know you all agree that it's not like Julia said from the Park School, it is an emergency. It is a catastrophe. This is an existential moment in the Earth's life. If we don't do something about the plastic pollution that's in the oceans, that's in the mountains, that's everywhere, on the planet, and especially in Baltimore County, we're not going to have a future. And, so I just want to put that out there. I also want to say that Mom's Market, the organic market, they did a study and they discovered that the bags that they collect in the bins, you can bring batteries there, you can bring all this other stuff there. And I can't talk right now, Chelsea. And also, but they realized that there's no market for the plastic bags. So it's not true that plastic bags can be recycled, because they're not being recycled. Giant is not collecting them anymore because they had nobody's making money off plastic bags, so they're not taking them. Also, people can bring any bag or box or hampers to the food stores. I've seen people with hampers in the back of their car, and they just wheel out their groceries and they put all their groceries in hampers, like at Aldi's. So this is not a tax. You do not have to pay for a bag. You pay if you want to. And the thing that you can do is you can bring your own bag. And we need to change the way we think about trash. It's a throwaway society. 30 years ago, when I was studying environmental education and natural resource management, one of my teachers said, the landfills of today are the gold mines of tomorrow. And I don't know if you all know Evan Michael, but he's collected over 25,000 bicycles from our landfills in Baltimore County, and they are in Mali right now, and they're being used by the people of Mali because people in Baltimore County have sent them to the landfill. So this is a small step. A bag ban is a small step in what we need to do, and we really, really appreciate the folks that have sponsored this bill. I also wanted to commend Councilman Marks, because he used to come out to our neighborhood when he was my council member and help us clean up the streams and clean up the alleys. And we do appreciate what all of you do for the county. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Spice.
Thank you, Spice.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we have in a very odd, we have two people who registered to speak who both have the first same 6 digits of their phone number. So I'm going to try Mr. Snyder one more time. I think he could be another speaker that's on here. Mr. Snyder, are you there?
Yes, I am.
You may begin your testimony.
Thank you. Is it under oath?
No?
It'll be truthful. Don't worry. I'm an attorney. I am located in the Pikesville Plaza building. Barbecue, a very popular local kosher establishment, which tries very hard to be green. I like being green as much as the next person does. That being said, the restaurant business is very difficult to break even. And passing the tax, so to speak, along to the consumers, just making it more and more difficult. I don't know if you're familiar with the situation in Israel. They had raised the tax on plastic goods in order to encourage people to not use disposables. And what essentially happened was everybody in our Orthodox community, with an average of 6, 7, 8 kids per household, I mean, I used to wash and dry dishes when I was a kid, but it's just too much for many local families. And so the same thing happened in Israel. They just paid more, and it's passing it along to the people who are not as wealthy, who don't have 2 or 3 dishwashers or a maid. And that's what I anticipate seeing here as well. We use paper bags, but we also use plastic bags. And the paper bags fall apart. The food falls all over the place, and we get customers that are upset. And plastic does last longer. Now, when it comes to, I'm a consumer at 7 Mile Market and Market Maven, other local places as well as an individual, and we regularly use the plastic bags. In fact, I reuse them. I just came back from a trip to Israel, and the way I identified my bags, my luggage, is because they had 7 Mile Market bags tied prominently around each of the luggage handles. And that's how I can tell which is my bag. So they are reused. They're used in many different ways. In fact, you can tell when somebody's from Baltimore if they're walking around in the rain in Brooklyn, New York, or Atlanta, because they're typically wearing the old blue 7 Mile Market bags around over their hats. On the Sabbath, we're not allowed to use umbrellas, and therefore we put the 7 Mile Market bags over our hats to protect them from the rain. So they are reused in many different ways. We send our kids to lunch, our kids' lunches and snacks in a 7 Mile Market or a Market Maven bag. The plastic bags are used over and over again. Now, when it comes to a reusable bag, I'm not a scientist. I washed out of engineering my first year, went into psychology and then law school, and science just wasn't something that I picked up on. But I read as much as the next person, and when you have reusable bags, unless they're kept clean over and over again with antibiotics and antiseptic cleaners, then they do build up bacteria and other not quite nice things. And so a lot of the people in our community are very concerned that there was not a sufficient input given into the idea behind this prior to moving forward. I personally, and on behalf of the restaurant, are against the bill as is. Perhaps with some amendments, it can be made into something that is more acceptable. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, that's the remainder of my testimony. I yield my time to Councilman Patoka, who I met in person and like very much.
Well, thank you for your testimony. You don't have any more time to yield. You
I
owe
used
us
exactly 3 minutes. Exactly 3 minutes.
Next speaker. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We will try one last speaker that we passed over, and that was Oh my goodness, I lost him on the list. Joseph Adams. So Mr. Adams, are you there? Mr. Adams? No, Mr. Chair, that's it for tonight. I've called Mr. Adams twice and I haven't gotten a response, so.
Okay, well, we certainly appreciate all the callers who hung in there to testify. We certainly appreciate it very much. We certainly appreciate all the speakers who came in to see us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time. I think all of your testimonies was very thoughtful, and we will all take it into consideration as we continue to work through this issue. And I think some folks gave some very riveting testimony that will certainly sway some opinions. Any questions or comments from the members before we adjourn? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.